to stay
So when
safe.
you run to a pole, don't say
Mind your
nothing.
business. Edit. The following was written for when you're in a shot situation. You're in a
That's my
bad
phone.
place.
Oh.
Your car broke down and you have to walk.
you know what they
Obviously,
call me?
people, it's
They Dick
best to
Willie?
just
They
not
call
be
me-
there. But
What?
if you're there,
Nothing.
you're there. Deal. Sometimes
Nothing.
sink or swim is march or die.
Oh,
Somewhere lower a guy road.
What you mean I got
Have a
something?
big dog on a
I was
choker
joking.
chain. Great advice. But if you're from Detroit,
What they call
you
you?
know that already. Living in New Orleans,
They call me
I
the
owned
last
and
name
carried
slash.
a .40
Okay.
SWVE. I am
No, I'm
glad
gonna
I
say
never
something
had
else, actually.
opportunity to fire it at anything breathing, but I tell you, I was
I'm gonna
glad
go
for
Mr.
its
Starbucks.
presence on more than one occasion.
You
There
sharing?
are people out there that can't be reasoned with or
No,
run
you know the
or
bottles?
intimidated. Most
The
people
bottles.
in bad
Bottles got hit
neighborhoods,
by a
though, are
car.
just poor
You know
people
the,
who want the same
double-
peace and
the double
quiet
shot
as anyone
bottles?
else.
Yeah.
Hijacking this comment to
Look at
save
the
a
bug me a
life
pack of
someday.
those.
Maintain situational
You know how much they
awareness.
cost?
Eyes up and open. Look
Don't
people
they
in
cost
the
like
eye where they look,
$4?
and if they look away, trumpet
For a
their
pack?
intentions. Know your location.
Of how many?
Listen and look for hazards. Potential
Like 6?
weapons. Nearest
Oh, that's
safe
good.
spot. Kids playing unafraid.
I think it's
You're
$4.
probably cool.
The individual ones
Street
be
money
like
put out by
$3.
It's for a reason.
Yeah,
Multiple
really?
gang tags covering
Something like
one
that.
another. Warzone.
Bruh, I forgot
People
that
get
shit
quiet
was
when you
really
walk
important.
by. Keep stepping. Next,
Does your
don't look
McDonald's
like
even
a
have a dollar
victim.
menu?
You
Oh,
don't
I
have
think
to be
it's
Rambo, but just
I haven't been to
having your
McDonald's in
head
a
up,
while.
chest out, and hands out your pockets and walking
Oh, when you
confidently
went
and
there,
with a
just give them a
purpose
dollar.
shows you're not to
In New
trifle.
Jersey, yes, but I don't know if
Someone
it's
you
about
don't
Maryland.
know asks for a smoke all the time, give them a contemptuous or
So
knock
what,
off
which
look.
practice
Do
were you talking about
not
when you were talking about the
smile.
Starbucks thing?
Grew up near one
Were you
of the
talking about
toughest
Maryland or were you
towns in
talking
the
about New Jersey?
USA. Lived in
And like the
Swampland.
individual,
Predators
like,
pick on the
you know
weak,
those
but they
Starbucks
don't
drinks
know
you be
who's
buying in
weak
like
before they
fucking
strike.
vending machines and
Should
shit?
be a limping
Yeah.
zebra.
Yeah, those
Were you
cost
talking about
like
Maryland or New Jersey?
Maryland, ho.
I always found it super weird that friends from a nicer area would look at me like a superhero for growing up in a rough part. It's pretty simple. Mind your own duck-eyeing business. Don't walk around with flashy jewelry or anything that makes you look like a walking ATM. Keep in mind your exact location and time. After you get the gist that Murder Hill isn't some neat little nickname. It's simple to root around
Oh, God.
it. If you are engaged by random walks of life, be friendly. Shake a hand.
Right.
Ask how they are. You got a pack
Now
of
look, we
smokes
can't take a
sticking
hit
out of
either.
your pocket. Offer one. I had one instance where being friendly and a little ballsy got me out of a jam. Walking to get some smokes when a guy walks up trying to rob me. All I said was, "Look man, I am not trying to duck around. I'm going to grab some smokes. I got enough for that and some beers. Let me get you a 40 and I'll throw you some smokes." He was a bit confused. But next thing I know, we're down on the corner with some big mouths while he apologized and we shot the shit. Edit. Forgot another big one. My bad. Say you buy a new TV, computer, etc. Do
What are you
not put
buying?
that box out with the
Besides the
trash.
Starbucks shit.
Take it to a nearby dumpster or something.
I'm not
It's
concerned about
basically
that.
a billboard that you
But,
just bought a new
she wants me
TV.
to come in here and
We
buy
call
some.
them window shoppers. People that may not
Spaghetti.
originally be up to no good see that you must
Yeah.
have bought a
Somebody
new
touching
TV
my
and back.
spaghetti.
They now know what you got, that it's new, where it's at, and they'll find a way if they want it. Also, write down
You gotta
those
get some
serial
Chef
numbers.
Chef Boyardee.
You seem like a pretty cool dude. I try to be. I really do.
This thing probably has
Don't
air
check your
cutter.
phone to check the time.
You
If
know what I
someone
noticed?
comes up and asks
What?
you what time it is,
Every
tell
time I
them
go
you
to
don't
my
have a
brother,
watch or anything.
I
Don't
can
stare
never
at
carry
people.
anything
If
else
someone
that
tries
I
to
want.
start something, tell him you're in a hurry and
Didn't you
keep
get the
walking.
Starbucks
Be
shit?
careful of where you are when
No.
you take out
I
your
thought you
wallet
said you
or
was lying.
anything.
What?
Where you put
What you
it.
made me
I
carry?
used to put in a small
kind of
pocket
Chef
I
Boyardee?
wore under my shirt. Don't look lost.
You with your
Walk with a
grandma?
quick
Or you
enough
alone?
pace. A weird advice for me is, try to know some of
I'm
the
alone.
guys from the neighborhood.
I can
Either
sit
by
with her
playing a
alone.
sport, eating in some places in the neighborhood,
No one's holding your hand?
etc. You're less likely to be ducked with
Oh
once
wait, they don't have
people
the
know
double
you're
shot.
living
Oh no,
around
the
here
double
in
shots are like
most cases.
$2.
Also help to realize some of the shadier looking guys are actually not that bad. I
Yo, I
did
want the
relief
mocha
work
or
in
the
New
milk
Orleans
banana?
after Hurricane Katrina. I was staying in a dorm with a bunch
Vivian,
of
do you want the mocha or
volunteers
do you
from
want
all
the
over.
banana?
Get the
I'm
vanilla
covered up
one,
in
it's
the
better.
Ninth Ward.
I always
I'm
get the
just a
vanilla one.
hillbilly from
It
Wall
costs like
State.
two,
Oregon plates on my
277. That's
car.
weird.
Ninth Ward is by no
277,
means a
not
great place
275 or
before the
2
hurricane.
280.
And after, really kinda
Gotta be-
scary. There was a drug
Alright.
dealer who used to
It's
stand
fun
on the
there.
corner, across from where we all stayed. We had about 20 cars out, and we're always worried about our shit being broken into. Especially since we all had plates from different states. Some people kept talking about how they were afraid the drug dealer was going to break into our cars. Finally, after a week of this, I took an ice cold water bottle out, walked up to the guy, and said hi. Gave him the water, told him why we were there, asked how his family was. He was super nice, and said he was wondering what we all were doing. Offered to watch our cars. Said nobody would mess with us or our rides. In the 3 months that I stayed there, not one bad thing happened to us in a crime-ridden area. They are people too. Those who live in bad neighborhoods. If you treat them like people, they just might have your back. Anyway, that's my little story. Lovely. When
I
I
want to
get
get
into my
Shadow
car, I
Ball.
lock the doors immediately.
I don't know
and
where that
mind your
is.
own business. No staring. Walk with purpose. Confidence but not cokiness. But what if I'm filming a prank? Then GP and get the beating you deserve, you dipshit. Walk like you've got some serious places to be. Keep close track of your body language so you don't look
lady?
like the kind
I
of
have no
person
hands.
who would be easy to intimidate.
This is what happened.
Bonus points for a slightly crazy
What
look.
lady?
Make sure to project the message that
Oh.
ducking
I
with
don't
you is
think I'm
gonna
gonna be
be
able to
more
go on my
trouble
server
than it's
now,
worth.
everybody.
Even if realistically they could take you out in one hit.
I'll tell you
One
why.
time I was in a rough neighborhood,
Yeah,
but I had
Baskin,
to
actually.
vacuum my
Oh,
car
okay.
and top
Carol
off my
Baskin.
water, so I stopped
Killed
at
her.
a gas station that had died vacuuming.
I hate that song.
noticed
That
a
song's
lot
so
of
dumb.
mechanics and hustlers were in the area asking gas pump patrons for
Bro,
cash.
she gotta be carrying
I
like
pretended
shit
to
ton of
have a
shit.
twitch and was talking to myself
I only have
and
2 hands.
arguing out loud. When one of the
I'm not
panhandlers
find it back
walked
here,
past
so.
me, I actually
Carol
asked him to
Baskin.
spare some change and he
I
ignored
hate carrying
me.
that.
It was kind of glorious. I was a degenerate and it was awesome. Why did you have to stop in a bad neighborhood
No,
just
I'm
to
looking at
vacuum? If you are white, speak with a Russian accent. Don't forget Russians are the scariest white people. You think this bad neighborhood?
Bro, my hand.
You think this bad neighborhood? Never don't lock a door behind you when there are weekly break-ins. Sometimes a locked door is enough to
I've
make
never
someone
needed a
try the
bathroom.
next
I don't
house.
need a bathroom.
It annoys the hell out of my very white husband when I do this. But I just don't feel safe without making sure everything is locked.
I hate when people
I'm
don't lock the
getting a lot
fucking
of
door.
flack
Like,
for
you
the
have
use
no
of the
reason to
double
not
negative.
lock the
I'm
door.
not
I mean, to
changing
not
it,
lock the door.
because that's the way I
I
speak.
never liked my door.
I apologize
Are you
if
du-
this somehow
So what if somebody
offended,
breaks into your
but
house?
it isn't incorrect. It
it
annoys
was
the
fake,
hell out of my
obvious.
very white
Damn.
husband when I do this. Today I learned albinos don't
Is that how you
lock their
feel?
doors. My
Yeah, that was very
girlfriend's
interesting
family has
philosophy.
never locked their doors unless they are on vacation. Every
I'm kidding.
day from 9-3
I
their
just forget
doors
to
are
lock my
open
door.
with no one in the house, and unlocked 24/7 even when they're home. White people are weird.
Everything.
Watch
Yes.
the ground as I walk so I
And
don't
then in Louisiana, they
accidentally
used to
step
not
on a
lock.
used
We used to not lock our doors.
Almost happened
Well,
today.
it used to be
This
safe
also
enough for
helps
us
you
to
not
not
break
lock
your
our
mother's
doors.
back.
And no one steal
And the
anything?
needles end up penetrating runners sneak.
People
What?
were using home.
Wear headphones.
People were using
Don't
home,
put
so
music
people
on
would like
loud.
really.
Panhandlers leave
Break
you
into a
alone
house that
because
they
they
know
think
people
you
are in.
can't hear them.
The fuck?
And if shit goes
I mean, I
down, you're not
guess.
oblivious. Great what to avoid pushy mall kiosk salespeople as well. I do this sometimes in my own house when I just want some quiet. Don't stare. But I must assert my dominance. Unless you
Dude,
want
you're
your
gonna put a
dominance
all-nighter.
shoved up your ass, I suggest not
What do you
asserting
mean?
it. I
I'm gonna get
always
2 cans of the
double-check
double
if I
shot.
lock my car
You're gonna pull a
door.
whole nighter.
And
We're
also never
playing
have
the game.
anything valuable in the car.
You don't have a job.
My
I
car
know you
got
don't have a
broken
job.
into once, but I'm not sure
Okay,
if I
and-
locked the car or not, but I'm certain
That means
I did.
that means you
So
have
now
the
that's
time
why
to
I
pull
have to double check
double.
rule. They took my backpack
I can't.
with
I
my
don't
calculator
play
in it
video
and
games
my
for that
full change
long.
holder.
I
don't
can't.
even keep change
Like,
in
my
my
attention
car
span is not
anymore.
gonna let me play video games
Doesn't
for that
matter.
long.
They'll just shatter the window if you lock your doors if they want something.
Or I get sick of
Leaving your
playing
doors
Pokemon
unlocked
after
saves you
$2 hours.
$300 per new window.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Once I get a
this is
game,
a real bad neighborhood tip.
I play it from start to
Don't
finish.
leave anything valuable in your car.
So that's why you play the game
And
without
leave it
me?
unlocked so when they do
Yeah.
break and they don't smash
Why didn't
your
you just say
windows doing
anything?
it. Don't go outside at night. Past tape
I didn't wanna
perfectly safe
inconvenience you.
ish. If you hear
Nigga, what do you
gunshots,
mean
crawl under
inconvenience
the
me?
covers
You could
because
just
no
said
one
that you wanted to
can
play the
get you under
game.
there. Never drive
Did
a
you see
nice
that
car
root
slash
beer?
truck
Like-
bike moat scooter
like,
slash
root beer,
skateboard
root beer?
magic carpet. Your shit will get stolen
See what
by
the
the
bottles-
dudes down the street. Move before you have kids, etc. Move the duck
What do you call
out.
her?
The gunshot one made me laugh. I always did that as a kid. Same thing with helicopter spotlights. Under the blanket I go. As an Arab, what else am I supposed to do with my magic carpet? Go to college near Ghettoville, Phoenix, and you cannot wear red or blue. Yep, those ASIF fans really don't like our Wildcat colors up there. Don't take the same route every day. Saved my ass twice. They were waiting for me. They who? How did you know they were waiting if you were not
But
there?
yeah,
I'm
play
not
things
from a
from
bad
start to finish.
neighborhood,
Or until like
but
I get
used
like
to live in
completely
a not so
bored.
great
But that
area
takes like a
many
while.
years ago.
I get
Okay,
completely
cool.
bored,
Never
nigga.
learned. Look at
I mean, I get
like
bored
you
of like
belong
other
there
games, but like
confident.
games like
Don't
that.
stop for people,
There's an
especially
actual
if you
goal.
get a bad vibe. A
Give me a
creepy
second.
don't mess with me smile can go a long way. Use your instincts. To stay safe, there are 2 big rules I follow. Mind your own. No one likes a concerned citizen. You don't stare at anyone. You don't say shit to anyone. You don't try to get involved in others' affairs. If you are in for the night, stay in. Some other good tips. If you have nothing valuable in your car, keep it unlocked. If you have a gun, make sure it is loaded and one is in the chamber at all times. I've seen people killed over coking an unloaded shotgun to intimidate people who had real guns. Make sure you fly neutral colors or the city's sports team's banners. I grew up in Memphis and I've seen folks with clippers shit on their car get their windows smashed in. I lived in a bad neighborhood in Indianapolis and have seen people with Patriot stuff get beaten within an inch of their life. Let people know that you don't have anything, but don't go out and say it. Sometimes folks might ask you an Xbox game or a certain TV to kind of feel what kind of stuff you had. I made sure that the people asking knew that I still sported a CRT and an old Dell laptop. My real shit was kept in the floorboards while I was
This
away.
thick ass Pokemon,
When
yo.
you see a road that's blocked off with, say, a shopping cart or trash can in the middle of the road, if you can't drive around it, don't get out and move it. Just go down a different road. Edit. Short explanation. Get
Okay,
out of
so
your car. Get robbed, jumped, killed, etc. If you're a targeted person, or in a gang, it's a drive-by setup. Join our community Discord, link in description. Don't make eye contact, but also don't avoid looking at someone. Walk with confidence, but don't walk with too much. Walk at a speed like you have
Oh
somewhere
my
to
fucking
be, but
god.
not so fast that you look like
He's
you are going to be
hacking.
late. Certainly buried, but drive a stick shift. Most people don't know how.
Well, then,
If they try to steal
Hi.
your car, at most you'll
Yeah.
end up with a broken window.
Okay.
Only in
Okay.
America.
See what we're not
Yeah.
In
gonna do.
Europe, everyone drives stick.
yeah.
Stay inside and ready all
Black and
day.
White was fun. Whatever.
Mainly suburbanites with
It would've
no
been more
idea
fun if
how
you
to
played with me,
behave
but
in
okay.
bad neighborhoods. Mind your own
Yeah, it would've.
business. Don't
If you didn't
stare at
take
sketching
12
things going
hours.
down.
You could have said
Keep your
something,
phone away
nigga.
and the headphones out of your ears.
You could have asked me to
Keep your
play.
valuables hidden. If you have a
I don't know,
one-off
'cause you
cash,
have like
keep most of
a
it
whole-
put away so someone doesn't see it
another
when you
person,
open
you
your
know? Shut up.
wallet at the convenience
Shush.
store. And don't stare at your feet.
You could have just
Keep
said
your eyes
something and
up
we could have
pay
played.
attention to your surroundings.
Wait, where is the
Walk
microphone
with
you mentioned
confidence,
talking
like you have every right in the world to be where you are. Make eye contact, just enough
I
to
think I found
acknowledge the other person, but don't stare people
Did I
down.
drop our car?
Don't
I always
wander into
drop my
sketchy
grandma's car
situations.
before.
Head for well-lit places where people are around if things don't feel right. When in doubt, trust your gut. Don't carry a weapon unless you're prepared to use it and know how to do so. Know where you are and where you are headed. That is,
Wait a minute.
don't get lost.
What?
If you do get lost,
Do I
don't
want to
act
double
lost.
tap?
Head for
Or
an
do I
open
want-
business and
Wait,
check your
hi.
phone for directions there. Check the back seat of your car before getting in. Lock the doors. Start the
Wesley,
car.
oh my god, you did not
Put it
hear
into
that. I
gear
am not
before doing
canceled.
anything else. Spend the night at friends' houses as much as possible. Walking alone at night is a big no-no. If you're leaving your car, even for just a moment, turn it off and lock it. Last week, the Indian food delivery guy got his car stolen right in front of my apartment building because he left
Dude,
it
who's
running to
Leslie?
deliver my food. He was out of his car for 1-2 minutes.
Huh?
Who the
Who's
hell leaves
Leslie?
their car open and running without having it in their sight?
I said Wesley.
That's wildly optimistic. This work in France. Don't know about America or else. No eye contact unless someone
I'm
speaks
definitely
to
watching
you.
Hannibal.
Never show any kind of
I
fear
haven't touched the bathroom
ever,
today.
while walking on the streets. Look
Fucking
strong,
disgusting.
confident, maybe angry
Nothing
or
bigger
hurried.
than more than
Words
touching the
too.
bathroom.
Never change
Carol
side of the
Baskin.
street at the last moment. It
I'd
shows
never
fear or
touch bathroom.
disrespect.
Ever.
If a group of guys comes to you, speak normally.
I decided to
Relax.
stream twice
Some
today
jokes
because
can
I was
work.
bored.
Act
And
with
Mel
them
called
like
me.
you would with rational and kind people. I even
You
once
told
asked
me to
them
call
for
you.
help.
Exactly.
Don't play
Say
me
your
like
first
that.
Exactly.
name at some point. Of course. Don't show you got an
I should have
iPhone in
switched
your
out
hand and
'cause
Ray-Ban on your nose.
I forgot Gullet was half
Obviously,
around.
You live in the neighborhood. You're part of their territory. Clan or tribe or whatever they may think about it. Make sure they realize it soon enough. I always say hi. Show my face. Most important, Don't get involved unless someone is in danger.
Honestly, I
Don't
wanted to buy my
forget,
sister the
they
pizza.
see
Instead of
themselves
buying
as
something,
predators.
but
If you look like a prey, they attack,
teacher looking mighty
even if you're
expensive.
short, weak, afraid, and obviously you don't have any chance of winning. If you seem confident enough, they'll not see you as their next target. As a paramedic in a high-crime city, I can tell you that minding your own business is absolutely the worst thing you can do. I have seen so many people beat up, shot, and stabbed who were all just minding their own business and not bothering nobody. Also,
Vivian, should I bet them
be
people
very
away?
wary of
Yes.
anyone named some dude.
I put one of the
Some
cans
dude
away.
shoots and stabs a lot of people, especially those who are just outside at 3 a.m. minding their own business.
I bought some pizza rolls, but
Look
they're
a
like,
little pissed
I bought
off.
the bag
You
kind
want
and
to
they were
look like
nasty.
someone who would put up a fight if needed.
Why
Don't
would
be
they
a
bad?
dom, but just put on your beach face and get where you're going. Source: my neighborhood nytimes.com. link and
Yeah.
slid equals nitscore iPad share and r equals 0. My neighbors across the
Yeah,
street were
she
the drug
first fingered a
house.
basket
I never
with how much
bothered
shit she
them,
wanted for that.
and they had an armed guard on the porch 24/7.
Why are your family
Nobody
members always
messed with my
demanding you do
stuff
shit?
because no
Why you
one
like,
wanted
I don't
attention
fucking know.
around
they
that
always
house.
asking you to do something.
Last
Like, why can't you just
neighborhood
chill?
I lived in was a rough
I'm
one.
gonna get a job.
Put
Just
down
Yeah,
like
but like,
outside or
there's like 8
fertilizer
other
without
adults
a
in your
sign.
room. I mean, your
Get sued
house.
for vet bill, time,
See, that's
and pain and
awful.
suffering
No,
when a
they're
dumb dog
not.
eats the shit.
They're actually not.
Make a little too much noise. Neighbors call
There's
the
your mom,
cops.
your dad,
Drive
your
a car that
stepdad,
is
your
Yeah,
grandma.
luxury brand 3
Huh?
years old or less.
I'm
You
not
are
done
up
with
to
it.
no
I'm
good
not
and
done
should
with
have the cops called
Oh.
on you. Have
My
a
mom
friend's
doesn't like
children
my
playing on the
grandma,
tennis
apparently.
court.
Oh, okay.
Association
Nah.
will try and fine you for being a nuisance and misuse of facilities. Complain to the association about a neighbor's natural yard, aka all weeds. End up with all
And
your
then,
potted
like,
plants torn up and all their
I'm
weeds
like the
to fall
oldest.
on your front side wall.
Like right after I
Then the
was old, I'm the
association
oldest.
attempts to fine
And
you.
then my other cousin,
Cat
she,
poops in neighbor's
she
yard.
has her own place.
Sued. Neighbor threatens to poison cat if they see it again. Car gets another
I, like,
nick on the
when I
bumper
start
every
working,
other
it's
day while parked on the street.
Mm.
The
like,
city likes to post
move that
tiny
apparently.
obscure little signs that it is doing work in the area. Then ticket everyone that
God.
doesn't move their cars 3 days before work begins.
Okay.
Neighbors have zero respect for shoveling out your own spot on the street. On the plus side, the one time someone's car got
Ludwig
broken
is
into
like
in the night in a smash and grab.
barely
a
usable.
half-dozen police officers spent a
Do
day
you know the
looking
type
for
of movie
evidence,
Force Pokemon?
dusting cars. curbs,
Yes,
and
it's
nearby
psychic,
signs for
ghosts,
bricks.
dark,
Good God,
and
please do not open
fighting.
your wallet and give money to anyone. It shows them how much money you
You
have
got
in
the
your
type to
wallet, which
counteract
they
that?
want to take.
Yes,
My
I know how to
father
play
did this
Pokemon
while he
now.
was inside our property surrounded by a hurricane
checking.
fence and the guy
You
stole
just
his
check
wallet
in.
out
Except
of
for like
his
you
hand
didn't even know
through
about
the
Pokemon until I
fence.
said something.
Maintain just the right
mean, 'cause I
amount of eye
forgot. I
contact
once
with
knew
people you
everything,
pass
and
in
I
the
just stopped
street.
playing.
Too little and you're
I think
easy
it's after, like, I
begins.
didn't buy
Too
Sword
much and
Shield
it's reason for
and Moon
conflict.
and stuff.
1.
I just stopped
Be
caring
aware
about
of your
typing.
surroundings at all times. This
Okay, I just
reduces
forgot
the
everything,
chance that
you
a
know.
thug will attack you.
I started dating
2.
and stuff,
Good
you know.
posture.
Yeah, we know
This
you have a
portrays
life.
power and
Thanks.
strength,
We get it, you have a
further
life.
reducing the chance of an altercation. 3.
Yeah, like,
always
um,
carry a weapon for when shit does go down.
Your life is
4.
dummy thick.
Never advertise your belongings.
That's
A
funny, I
great
didn't
way
buy
to
my
avoid
Switch.
being robbed.
I didn't buy
5.
Smash for my
Analyze people's
Oh, I
behavior.
think
If they're not paying any attention to you, then they're no threat. 6. Practice Krav Maga. 5. Analyze people's behavior. If they're not paying any attention to you, then they're no threat, aka the ocular pat down. I was a kid when I lived in a bad neighborhood, so these tips are mostly for younger people. CCW. I love Creedence Clearwater Revival. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day. Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/ask Reddit
Yeah, I will
by
be in your
Planet
bed tonight.
Reddit.
Just kidding.
Daycare workers of Reddit.
That's cute.
What is the
I was
most shocking
kidding.
family secret you have been told by a
Oh.
3-year-old?
Shut up.
I dated a girl with 2 kids. I was watching them while she went to the doctor. She had a serious medical problem and she wanted the kids
"Why you
to
hate me,
not be
bitch?
there and see her all stressed out.
I'm a
Was
nice
watching
guy,
Toy Story
bitch."
with her 3-year-old daughter.
I would never
I
say
that.
started understanding that her mom and I are more than
got me
friends.
fucked up.
She said, "Would you hit
You
Mom?"
got me
I was
fucked
shocked
up.
and I said, "Of
You
course
got me
not.
fucked up,
What
and
put
you
that
can't
idea in
catch
your head?"
these hands.
And she teared up and said, "My daddy used to hit her." And she started crying. I just did my best. I explained to her that I would never hurt any of them and how people who love each other should behave, and that her dad had a sickness that caused him to act strangely. He was an addict. I got her a popsicle and she calmed down as Buzz Lightyear and Woody were flying into the car. I was aware that their dad hit their mom, but I didn't know the daughter witnessed it or would even remember. You're a good man. I'm okay sometimes. When my son was 3, I bought my wife Titanic
I don't
on
trust
video. Yes, it was a
Lily
long time ago. For
hitting
her
it in one
birthday,
hit.
He asked if he could watch
Fuck.
it after nursery school. We said that it
Oh,
wasn't
good thing I
really a
used Clover
film for
Dance twice
children.
then.
It was a film for grown-ups, like Mummy and Daddy. When I picked him up later, his nursery teacher was stifling her laughter as he had been telling everyone all day that it was his mummy's birthday that day and that Daddy had bought Mummy a special video
Yeah,
that
what are
only
you?
mummies and
What
daddies
race are
could
you?
watch.
You're not black.
This
What do you think I
reminds
am?
me of my daughter, 5 at the time, yelling at me in the car one time because I was drinking and driving and she heard that you can hurt people and go to jail for that.
Dominican.
I was drinking a bottle of ice.
If you don't get out of here with that,
This thread making me terrified to have kids.
But the way you
I
talk
teach
about mixed
2-year-olds,
people, you have to be
and we
Dominican.
were asking the kids
That's
what
not
their
even true,
parents'
but okay.
names were. Just
and
to
what
see
what
if
do I
they
say
know.
about them? What are you
I
trying to
asked
say?
a little boy,
You
"What's
really trying to
Mommy's
put me
name?"
on blast on my
He
stream?
says, Michelle.
Mhm.
Then I
Why?
asked, "What's
What are you gonna
Daddy's name?"
accomplish?
And he looks confused, as if he's trying to
Happiness?
figure out the answer.
I look
But
for
how?
happiness
So I
tomorrow.
asked, what does Mommy call Daddy?
I'm
Then you
butch-
see Mario
He would
Kart.
say John. Instead, he
You got
looked
Mario
up at
Kart
me
money?
and says, Big Papa. I couldn't help
I
but
know,
bust
but
out
you do.
laughing.
I don't.
I love it when you call me Big Papa.
You broke.
Throw your hands in the air.
You brought a stream
If
deck,
you's
what you
a
did
true
about Mario
player.
Kart?
Not
What am I
really
gonna
a
do with some
shocking
Mario Kart? I
secret,
don't have
but
friends
it
to play
got a
with. I
laugh
don't have
out of
friends.
me. I had my
It's a
preschoolers
party game
rounded
that you
up
can't
for
get really
circle
sick of,
time,
like Smash.
going off their
Exactly.
interests. The day I decided
I
to
got
ask
sick
them
and
to join
tired
the
of
girls,
Smash.
That's what happened to be
Something
the
made me
one
buy
thing
online.
every
And,
3-year-old cared about
that
that
day I had
day.
like a headache.
Through the
and,
sea
like,
of children,
I
I
went
hear a
off.
couple responses.
I went off on this.
I'm a boy.
Why?
I'm a girl. Etc.
If you playing
Then out of
Swordsman,
nowhere,
Oh my
in the
lord.
back I hear I'm black.
You playing
He
Swordsman? I
sure
was kind of
was.
rusty,
God,
I
I
was getting
miss
my
that
ass kicked.
class. Good
Low-key.
times.
but not high
What
key.
is your gender?
Low-key.
Comma male.
And like I was
Comma
already
female.
annoyed because I had like a headache
Black.
that lasted 8 hours.
For some
Like,
reason, this is the
remember I told
funniest
you
one.
that?
Yeah.
My grandma
I
owns
went
a home
full on
daycare,
tilt, like,
and a
actually
female
full on tilt.
toddler
Like,
that she
I went on a
babysat
rant and
decided to
everything.
try and pull down a male toddler's pants and kiss his pee-pee.
But I have to
My
like, I'm gonna get my
grandma
rematch
immediately
later,
asked
but,
her
like,
where
Are you
she was
fucking
at.
serious, yo?
And
What
she
the
said,
fuck?
"My daddy."
I feel like calling
My
myself something.
grandma reported it and an
Yo,
investigation
the thing
was
that hit,
done.
he,
And her
oh,
family was
the
actually
thing that
very
makes me
glad
mad the
that
most
she did it.
in like
Even
games is
her
like
dad.
when I
An
get
investigation
paralyzed,
was
that
done and
grinds
they
my
found
gears.
nothing wrong and the parents
Why don't
100%
you equip him with a berry then?
Kids sometimes just say
I'm
odd
pretty sure you don't
things,
have items equipped.
but they were glad to know
Yeah,
that
but,
my
like-
grandma takes those sorts
And
of
plus, this
things
Talon's doing hella
seriously.
damage for no
So I
reason.
guess it's not a
I
family
put mine with like
secret,
the glasses,
but my grandma
the
certainly
scope
thought
lens,
it could have been at the time.
the
She probably just walked in on her parents
the
at some
mystic
point.
water, the miracle seed,
r/noise.
and the quick claw.
Just kind of babbling.
I got all that, but
She
like,
couldn't
it
talk
doesn't even,
properly,
it barely
but could
helps.
say a few
This is why
words.
You
EVs
should
matter.
use
She was
it.
playing in the little playhouse and
This
I
is why
heard
EVs
her yell
matter.
Exactly.
very clearly,
You
"Get
should go
out
to
of
the
my house.
go to the
Rat
bottom of the mountain
bastard." I
and
wonder
beat
where she
the
picked it up.
beat
My
the witch
cousin
collar.
said he knew he and his wife
The-
had
the-
been
the
fighting
bird
too
thing.
much when he heard the kids playing house and his daughter yelled at his son, who was playing husband. You
the
always
bird
leave in the
thing, and
middle
they
of
give, like,
an argument.
they give, like,
I have to
tea.
go to work.
Feed
You
EVs.
always have to go to work. It was word for word their most common argument to have. One of my parents' parental flaw was to tell me and my brothers to stop being noisy every time we made a noise. In other words, every time we were being kids. My
Vivian.
dad recently
What?
told me about that one time
Do
I
you
was
use
playing
your
with
master ball
Legos.
for, like,
I'd made
the
a little
roaming one?
pyramid.
No.
Took a little Lego character and
What
made
do
it
you
walk to
use?
the top, while another character stood by the base of
The
the
roaming
pyramid.
ones? What
I
roaming
had
ones? The
apparently
thunder
made
shit?
one character
Tornado,
say,
yeah.
"Are you
No.
at the top yet?" And the other
I'm probably
one
not going to
said,
use
"Quit nagging."
a Master Ball
I
in
had
the
them made the
Final
first
Legendary.
one cry, at which point the second one said,
What are you
"Stop
gonna use on it,
crying." I once had a little girl tell me she saw daddy licking mommy like a doggy. That was hilarious and
catch the-
awkward. There
you
were
can
a
catch the
handful of
stationary
really
ones
sad
using,
cases where children would disclose neglect or abuse.
You
One
can catch
girl
the
in
stationary ones
particular
using,
had a
like, a
meltdown
pencil.
one day when she
The
had an
roaming ones are
accident in
annoying.
her underwear. Turned out that her mom would slap her around just
Landers
gently
and
enough to
tornadoes?
not leave a mark and
no.
lock her in a closet when she misbehaved,
I suggest you use
which
the master
included
ball also.
accidents. Needless to say, we reported the mother to CPS and did a rush job washing the girl's clothing so she could go home in the same clothes she wore
Hiya!
to school, without her mom knowing about the accident.
Hiya!
Lots of kids spilling the beans on new pregnancies or divorces, arguments between parents, or infidelity. Kids see and hear a lot and they tend to have
Don't
incredibly
stop,
good
make
memory
it
for that
right.
kind of stuff. They tend to have incredibly good memory for that kind of stuff. I'm just going to add that they seem to have a pretty good memory in general. I now just ask my almost 3-year-old daughter where I put whatever I'm trying to find, and she always knows where it is, whether it's my keys, wallet, or the remote. Those Bluetooth finder tags are going to go belly up once people find out about child finders. We'll be rich. Oh wait, no, they cost so much. We're broke duck. IDK if this counts. But a 3-year-old told me he had belly aches every day because mommy gave him too much sleepy juice. I said what? He didn't know. I brought it up to her and she said like it was all normal and fine. Even with a little laugh. Yes, sometimes I give him a little bit too much NyQuil because
I swear to God, if you hit yourself, Litwick, I swear to God, I'll disown you. I will disown you if you hit yourself. I will disown you. And you hit yourself, I'm disowning you. Because the future tech is not gonna... Huh? It evolved level 41.
Liver damage though. Yeah, but he lives okay, so it's fine.
I'm trying to beat the tower, if you don't mind.
Not a daycare worker. But I used to have a tax practice.
The tower before Skylar.
A client came into my office to drop off his tax paperwork with his 5 kids,
Oh, the
ages
one
3
with
to in tow. He said
No.
he needed to go run an errand and left, leaving the kids in my office.
What are you
For
talking
me
about?
to babysit while
Have you
I
fought the
worked on
flying
his
type gym,
taxes.
right?
The kids were shy.
Uh-huh.
You have to go
Quiet
find her,
and
don't you?
But the youngest finally started a
Uh-huh.
conversation
At the tower,
with me.
right?
My daddy hits my
Oh, you
mommy.
said this.
The fact that he dumped
the-
his
it's the
children
tower-
on me was
okay.
good foreshadowing
tower
on his
cemetery.
awfulness. Seriously though, 5 kids? I can't imagine what the office looked like if he was gone more
Concerned
than
for
about a
what?
minute on his errand. This isn't
Like,
exactly scandalous.
You
The
just straight up
shocking
call.
things I have
You should
heard
call,
usually
and if you
involve
walk away,
abuse. We had a family from
I'm a
Texas
little,
move
like,
to the
worried
daycare
about
I
that.
worked at in
But,
Illinois. The
yeah.
boy would try and tell us
Maybe if you're
stories,
wearing
but
your
we
mask,
never
maybe
could
you would be
fully get
worried.
all the details for it to make sense.
Is he dressed
It would
kinda
usually
thick?
go like
He's, like,
this.
wearing, like,
Boy,
a robe
you
or
know
something?
who's bad?
He's gonna risk
Me.
it all for some
Who's
thickness.
bad? Boy, the black
No.
man. Me.
Alright.
Who? Boy, the black man is bad. He hurts people. Me.
I would never.
What man? Why does he hurt people? Boy, the black man. He's
Simp.
scary. After a
There's
few
only
weeks
2
of
people.
this, the boy was the
Oh,
one
wait.
to always bring the black man topic up. I finally
wasn't
was
one of
able to discover that the black
I
man was
can't do
Darth
shit over
Vader.
this, man.
I had
Oh my God,
assumed that
Pikachu.
perhaps
Why you
the
gotta go
Southern
over
family
here?
had a streak
Why?
of racism,
Why?
but it just turned out
Why?
I was prejudiced
Why do you
against
go over
Southerners.
here?
That reminds of my daughter asking to watch
You
the
did
movie
this
with
for
the black
what?
man. The white man and the green man.
You did
It
this
took
for
me
what?
a while to
Why
realize
not?
she was talking
For
about
what?
Star Wars.
Why not?
For Halloween, my son
But why
wanted to
though?
be the green guy from Star Wars, and we're like, Yoda? And he gets all
Still
mad
can't
as
use dick,
yelling,
damn.
No, the green guy. Turns out he meant Luke with the green lightsaber. When my daughter was 2, I had her little brother. Sometime when he was around 9 months old, she got pretty sick of him, and she was also in her daddy is king phase. So she would go around saying, "Daddy is my daddy, but he's not little brother's daddy." I always wondered if she spread that rumor at daycare as well. My oldest son, age 2 then, used to tell me, "Mama, I'm your baby. New brother is daddy's baby." Probably. LOL. My son once told his class,
But
and
yeah.
teacher, that daddy drinks beer every morning. It was
can see
Pepsi.
shit.
He did not know the difference. I used to tell people
I can
about
see
how my
shit.
dad would drink and drive. It was water. I swear every kid under
No
a
taking
certain
shit.
age believed at some point that their parents were going to
Nothing.
get in trouble for drinking water,
Probably not.
tea, coffee, coke, whatever while they drove. The weird thing is, drunk driving commercials
got
play
my
on children's
heartbeat
TV
right
networks and radio
away.
stations. And
Get
I
your
remember
butts
getting
off,
coloring
get
sheets
your
or what to
butts
have
off,
against drinking and driving
Get
as
you
young
get
as
that
kindergarten. But it took forever for an adult to specify to me that they meant don't drink alcohol before operating a vehicle. I remember being terrified that my mom was going to get arrested
I have
for
a
drinking
feeling
Snapple in the car. And when I mentioned don't
that
drink
Maurice
and
will
drive,
get
all
one
she told me
hit
is that isn't what
KO'd.
that means. It's
Which
still
one-
very
which one
weird
did
to
you
me
name
that
that?
we get the
I
don't
named
operate
Ludwig
a vehicle
Maurice.
intoxicated lesson before
Why?
we get the alcohol makes you
Oh,
drunk
no.
lesson. I'm
There
not
has to
even
be a
sure
joke
what the
behind
point
that.
of
I named
teaching
all
kids
of-
don't
I
drink
named
and
all my
drive
Pokemon
is.
after
Kids don't drive.
my friends.
Oh my. I can't believe
Okay,
this
then
isn't one of
what's
the
your whole
first
thing?
ones that popped into my head.
Okay, I named
There
all
was
of
a
them
little
except for
girl
one
and
since
boy,
that one is a
about
traitor,
3 and
remember?
1. They were in foster care and had great foster parents.
Okay, so
Wait,
they would get
you kept
up
up
about once a week by a social
yes, I kept
worker
up
and
until
taken to their parents for visits.
it's evolved.
Is it?
It's evolved.
Back from the first
I've been using
unsupervised
it.
visit, the little
To Louis
one-year-old started breathing really heavy.
Okay, so
and
we got
raspy
me
and
as
all of a sudden
Espeon.
barely breathing at all.
You got
We
Mel,
think maybe
or
an
should I say
allergic
Smell?
reaction to
That's
something.
kind of interesting.
Of
that you,
course, we called an
you named the head of your party
Then
like
not even
yourself.
10 minuets
That's
after
kinda
he's off to
interesting.
the
Hold on.
hospital.
How's that
It happens to the
interesting?
little 3-year-old.
Okay, anyway,
But he's
I named
not
Litwick
then
Maurice.
being able to breathe.
I named it
So we're
the
all
crocodile
like, WTF is
Wesley,
going on?
and I named the
The owner goes to the
Joltik
hospital
Naeem.
with the kids and calls later to let us know
Okay,
what
so
is
I'm not
going
in
on.
that party. Okay.
Turns
Your
out the
smell, what the
parents
fuck?
poisoned both of the kids.
No,
They
because of
turned
why?
out okay.
Oh,
The
You're
little
literally
boy
the
had a lot more in
Palpito.
his system and was in the hospital for a few months.
I don't agree.
But overall,
You
everything
need, like,
went back to
bone or
normal.
shape.
You look like a
Needless to say,
Palpitoad, I'm
the
sorry.
parents went to prison. Their reason for doing it was because
I'm kidding, I'm
if
kidding,
they
I'm
didn't
kidding, I'm
have
kidding,
them,
I'm kidding, I'm
no
kidding.
one
I was
else
kidding,
would
I'm
raise
kidding, I'm
them.
kidding, I'm
Which
kidding.
made no sense
I was
because
kidding,
they
I
were
didn't mean
fairly
it.
close to getting them back. You never
Did
know
you?
how
Did
shitty
you
some
not mean
I
parents
did not,
can be
I
until you
crossed
work
my
in
heart, I did not mean it.
childcare. Edit. Because so many people have asked me this. I mean the owners of the daycare, not of the children. What the duck? Whoa, that's awful. So glad those kids are safe. I used to work at a church during the summer, and one time a little boy just up and told me as we were walking to chapel that his daddy spanks his mommy with a wooden spoon after they go to bed.
Mood.
Obviously nothing illegal here, but it was a funny story and the parents were informed that their
Getting spanked by a
little
wooden
angel knew
spoon.
of their shenanigans and to have a talk with him.
You don't think that's a
You
mood?
should have a talk with your son.
It's not
What?
a mood.
Why? What's
Okay, what is
wrong?
it?
Right.
It's for church
Going
hunting.
to the front.
Next.
We
Oh
be
wow.
all
This
night.
meat. It has aged like a fine wine. They tell me everything.
I sound like
If you lie to
a
your
cat.
daycare worker, your child will spill the beans.
So much.
I have lots of 3-year-olds struggling with potty training. Every single parent will tell me they're working with the child at
I
home.
did like
Your kid will tell me if that's true or if you're just
Oh my
putting them in a
God.
diaper as soon
How
as
you
get
doing?
home.
How you
Biggest
doing?
thing I've been told. One little girl mentioned how her grandma tries to breastfeed
How you
her.
doing?
Her grandma picked her up every day from daycare and had her just about all afternoon with her. Alone. We called parents and CPS.
Damn,
An
you taking credit
investigation was
cards
done
now?
and Grandma admitted to holding her.
Whose
while
credit
she
cards
was
you
nursing,
using?
But claimed they were just cuddling.
Wait.
From my
You using your food
conversation with
stamps?
The little one, it sounded like it was
Oh, come on,
definitely
girl, you're
going
right.
on. She was really detailed
Come on.
for an almost 3-year-old. Grandma walked away unscathed and still picked little girl up from daycare regularly. If you lie to your daycare worker, your child will spill the beans. Man, too true. I worked as a martial arts instructor for years, and one of our programs was for young kids, like 3-5 years old. Those little shits lived to knock on their parents to us. My mommy threw trash out of the car window on the way here. It was awesome. I just shared this in r/parenting a week ago, but just how aggressively willing our little one was to share was too funny. She saw that daddy and I left the room and without skipping a beat, took one look at grandma and goes, completely unprompted, "Daddy's mean to me. He yells at me and I don't like him at all." All wide-eyed and completely sincere. Grandma gets to the bottom of it and it turns out it's because he told her to calm down after a tantrum about not getting McDonald's French fries 3 days ago. This 4-year-old held a 3-day grudge about French fries and tried to report daddy to grandma. I could not believe it, lol. Join our community Discord, link in description. Not a secret and not a daycare worker, but I do work with young children at a private tutoring company. But a little girl, just turned 6, at my workplace once turned to another girl who was being disruptive and calmly said, "Go and see a therapist, darling. You sound like you need one." It was hilarious at the time, but also kinda sad that the girl had heard that phrase often enough to be able to parrot it during an argument. This is why 6-year-olds shouldn't be allowed to watch RuPaul's Drag Race. Shady, little, beaches. Not super shocking, but I worked at a daycare for a couple of years and the 2 stories I remember the most was when a little girl said to me, "When daddy takes a bath, mommy shaves his back." And another little girl that admitted when her dad watches her in the tub, sometimes he will drop a turd in the toilet. That latter one. Her dad came to pick her up that day and I could not look him in the eye. When her dad watches her in the tub, sometimes he will drop a turd in the toilet. Efficient. Did this yesterday.
Oh my lord.
We're also knee-deep in potty
So
training,
basically,
so I was setting a good example.
I'm
Right.
checking out.
Not sure if this counts, Wife runs one. Had a day off from work and a 6-year-old sits at the table next to me and we start talking about different fish in the world. His parents were divorced and they have split custody. He and his sister only come part-time. So I grab my phone and we look up different tropical
Are you
fish
fucking
and whatnot.
serious?
After a bit he tells me he only likes his mom and sister. Hates his dad. Stepmom and
That can have
stepmom.
killed? Okay.
Talks about how he is going to light his dad's house on fire with the people he hates still in it. I told his stepmom about it when she came to pick him up. He went to therapy for a while. His real mom gets a new live-in boyfriend every month or so. Apparently one has given him swirlies a few times and another was a convicted child molester. The dad reports this shit to CPS but they never do anything about it. A dude I work with just had his second kid. His woman's mother is dating a guy she met through her church's program. Jesus for prisoners or some shit like that. Dude was doing 10 years for child molestation and grandma doesn't see anything wrong now that he's accepted Jesus into his life. It just boils my blood that people with kids are okay with shit like that. I once had CPS called on my parents because I told my daycare worker there was nothing to eat and I was starving. True story was my mom hadn't had time to get groceries and asked my dad to go before I left for daycare saying something like, could you pick up the groceries? I don't want her to starve for another day tomorrow. I actually had breakfast that morning but not the usual and refused to eat at all. I never saw my mom so embarrassed ever again. My husband and I went on vacation for a week and left my then kindergartner with my meal. The small weirdo was caught eating dog food out of a sandwich baggie on the playground during recess, literally 12 hours after we left. His excuse to the teachers, Grandma won't feed me. His excuse to Grandma, the dogs like it a lot so I wanted to try it. Thank everything holy the teachers knew us and Grandma. No scary CPS calls were made and everyone saved for Grandma. Had a good laugh. Grandma locked up the dog food until we came back. I had a 3-year-old come to class with little red circles on his arms, legs, and back after spending the week with his dad. He told me that daddy burns him with his hot smelly sticks when he was mad. Dad was burning the kid with cigarettes. Definitely got CPS involved. Oh, that's utterly heartbreaking. Poor little boy. Not a daycare worker, but something rather similar. I helped with foster children for a long time, and one who was in the process of being taken from her mother, 3 years old, told me giggling that Mel was sucking mommy's boob. Mel was her grandmother. She also told me that when she was a little tiny her mom put her in a crib and a scary man came into the room and grabbed mommy and jumped all over her while mommy screamed, "No, my baby is watching, stop, stop." That's horrible. So I worked in a day nursery for about 4 or so years. And I will never forget the day their 3-year-old outed her mum and dad for having a sex swing. I'm
sick of them using
drawing
detect.
A pretty graphic picture of the swing and her mummy laying back in it and daddy kneeling down in front of her. We reported it to management because of policies and procedures, but my lord, I had to leave the room and laugh before I imploded.
About what?
The same child, maybe 3 or 4 days later, pipes up during a conversation about religion. It was around Christmas time, so we were covering what religions have what festival gods etc. She announces that her mummy loves God very much and prays to him a lot at night. Without even thinking, we asked how does she pray. She responded with the making sex moans and saying, "Oh my God, oh God, oh God, oh God." Yes, I am so close, and that she thought it was sweet she felt so close to God. I miss this kid. I had a kid tell me I was looking in mommy's dresser and she has a dog bone and a dog collar and we don't even have a dog. Kiddo found mom's toy stash. I had a kid call me a beach before and slap me on the face. That one was fun. He was in the foster system, so he had already been through some things, I'm sure. It wasn't a secret, but having a pair of 4 5-year-old sisters revealed to me the details of their father's motorcycle accident that led to his death was heartbreaking. It all starts with my daddy is dead and ends with he wasn't wearing a helmet. Spoiler alert. The story is terribly tragic and lengthy. A girl who has a questionable home life pointed to a cop car and said, "It's the Popo. They took mommy away once and now I don't have a mommy anymore." Used to work at a daycare and the cutest little red-headed boy said, "I have to go drain my snake." He told us that's how his uncle announces he has to go to the washroom. That was 25 years ago and I'll never forget it. We had a kid who would say, "Ow." my beans when he hit his crotch on
Sounds
something.
nerve-wracking.
It made me laugh so hard.
I kind of want that.
I worked at a gym childcare
I have really
center
bad
in high
anxiety
school
too.
and a pair of 4-year-old twins. One who appeared to be mentally disabled, with an older sister came in. Not 3-year-olds, but not very old. The little boy had these weird scars all over his arms and legs like old cut marks healed over. The older girl, maybe 5 or 6, noticed me looking and calmly explained that it was from when his twin sister had gone after him with a knife and
Wait, what do you
rolled up
mean?
her sleeves to show me the same marks all over her arm.
What do you mean?
Apparently the younger girl had serious issues and her parents apologized for not warning me when they came to pick her up. Never saw them again. Creepiest little girl I've ever seen. That's terrifying. Really,
What?
honestly, terrifying.
Tell me.
2-year-old girl to my mother, a nursery teacher. My mother says you're black.
You do that
My
outside?
mother, yes, I am. 2 years.
I'm confused.
My mother says she doesn't like black people. My mother is, obviously, black and a nursery teacher in a country where most other black, African-American Europeans, people are temporary residents only.
I guess.
So most locals have never really interacted directly with black people. This little girl is light brown skin, Arab, and apparently was also told by her mother
So if you
that
preserve
she is
yourself,
white.
you're
TTA.
like
Deets about little girls' physical
more
appearance.
socially inept.
Also,
I mean,
I
adept.
won't go into a debate about the whole Arabs classified as Caucasian or white on censuses in the US thing. But essentially my point was that regardless of if we believe that girl was white or not, her conversation with my mother reflects that she absorbed what her mother told race. That's her introduction to race relations. That her mother doesn't like black people. It was shady on her mother's part at best and irresponsible and potentially damaging at worst. That's sad. I hope the 2-year grows up loving her nursery teacher and isn't as bigoted and misled as her mom.
Yeah.
My mom was a teacher and one time the fire department came in to educate the kindergarten
It sucks that you can't buy
They asked
easers
the
or
kids
elixirs
to
in
name
here.
different things in the house that are hot. The stove, the fireplace, etc. Then one kid raises his hand and says the weed is hot. I don't think anything ever came of it. It was not the nicest neighborhood in this kind of thing wasn't all that surprising. Haha, I had to give a fire safety presentation to a school of kindergartners to grade 6. We asked the kids to put up their hands if they had ever heard a smoke alarm go off in their house. One kid yelled out "your," but only when mom is cooking. The daycare people knew we were trying for baby number 2 because an ovulation test sticker got stuck on, soon to be, older brother's shoe. My kindergarten class had parent volunteers come and sometimes to help with projects. My mom signed up and came one day, but the other mother who was supposed to also come in called out sick. At recess my mom saw the mother's son and said something like, "Hi, kid name. I heard your mommy was sick and I hope she feels better. Is she okay?" The boy said yeah, she's okay, but the balloon in her boobie popped and she had to go to the doctor to get it fixed. Basically, she called out because her breast implant leaked or had some issue. Not really shocking, just kind of funny. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day. Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/ask Reddit by Planet Reddit. Teachers of Reddit, what is the worst parent conference you've ever had? An unintended one. When an undergrad I was teaching requested a formal meeting with me, her mother, and the dean of the college at the university. She had received a 97% on an essay, and she and her mother were both in tears demanding that I be reprimanded and retrained for unfair grading policies. I think my mouth was agape the entire time. I suck with commas and had a college English teacher take 10% off my grade for every occurrence of too many or not enough commas. I can't write 3 sentences without doing it. This was a community college. I felt like I paid out of pocket for this guy to be a dong to me. I basically stopped paying attention to the class after the first 2 papers and it really soured me to English. I had gotten A's and B's my whole life. He was Romanian and learned English from the Bible in Romania. What a dud. It's better to drop or withdraw in that case so you don't end up with an F on your transcript. I hope that's what you did, dude. I had a student fail my class and I thought that I'd been emailing with their parents throughout the semester. Turns out the parents did not speak English and relied upon their children to translate for them.
Oh my god, what the fuck? Yo, I'm sick of these Pokemon having these critical hits. That's so annoying.
Everything from the parents. Once they came home, the jig was up. The parents could not believe their child had lied for months, so we had a face-to-face meeting. It was so awful to see their faces crumble in shame and humiliation as their oldest child translated the meeting. I was duped like this 3 times.
I need Joltik.
Had a son.
Oh nope.
We saved money and had his
Never
college
mind.
paid
False
for.
alarm. I'm good.
He wanted to
I'm
be an
happy
engineer
now.
and we had his internship ready. He lies to us about grades and does a 0.002 semesters. I get him in at the JUCO to redeem himself after tears. Had my professor buddy check on him. 0.00 again. He went from free college and potential 200k at our oil company to delivering food. I don't know how I failed. Edit. And I've shared this story before. People tell me about losing kids to addiction. Don't embarrass him.
Why did
and try
that
to
quick
get
attack
involved
do so
with his
much?
passions.
Oh my god.
Parenting is not always easy. You didn't fail. Your son had 2 chances to get it right and ducked it up both times. That's entirely on him.
Oh my god, it's a Swana.
Not quite a parent-teacher conference, but it was after I got my first cell flip phone long ago when they were just coming out. An 8th grader stole it. My wife called the phone.
I remember when I had a flip phone.
Was dumb enough to give her
Hey
his
Wesley,
name.
how are you?
It was a parent who was
I see
using
your stream's
it.
going well.
The kid confesses to taking it and the parents came in. Admin confronted the parents about it, explaining that we just wanted the phone
What?
back.
The police
The
guy from
parents
Black and
tore
White,
into the kid for confessing he
guy.
took the phone and
Yes.
told him his birthday
Why?
was cancelled
Yes.
for ratting on them. Yikes. Parents of the year. For sure.
Oh my god.
Sadly, this kid
I need-
is following
okay,
in the
fuck it,
footsteps
honestly.
of his stellar family. How exactly is society
Joltik
supposed
can't take
to help
another
a
hit,
kid who has
so
been taught that
I'm just gonna
lying,
switch to
stealing, cheating,
Nell to.
and getting punished for doing the right thing is okay?
I'm gonna use you as
Makes
like a
you
punching
wonder
bag
if
real quick.
anyone
Sorry,
can be
Mel.
blamed for being who they are. From my
And the
wife,
moment I'll log onto
teacher
your
of
stream,
5
the moment I
plus
see
years,
myself getting punched by
2nd
somebody.
grade parent earbuds in her ears the entire
I need to
time,
preserve.
and looked at
Like
her
I need
phone the
Joltik to
entire
like kill this
time.
thing.
When my wife complimented her daughter and told her that she was doing well, the parent laughed and said she's a brat. Edit. I realize now that this is essentially a scene from Matilda. The child was not telekinetic,
Vivian,
but
do
if
you
she
think,
was,
like,
you definitely adopt her and
you
raise her
think,
to
like,
be a good
the old team
superhero.
members, right? Or,
Oh
like,
man,
Team
I
Rocket,
feel for that
like,
kid.
you know, do you think they
Parents need to
recycle
realize
themselves
that
to
their
other
children
teams?
are
Like,
exactly
like, they
who
were
they
like,
are
oh,
expected to be.
I heard
They
this
learn
cause.
those
I heard
expectations
about
by
this cause.
witnessing the
Like,
expectations
there's
we
new-
place on
there's a new
ourselves.
group, you
Be
know,
the person
let's
you want
reignite
your
the old
kid
days
to
and
be.
join this group. No?
I was talking
Yeah.
to the parent of a kindergarten student
Team
and
Rocket
told her
bouncing
how
off
she
the
could
game.
help her child at home.
I feel like Team
She
Rocket
suddenly
became
said, "Do you get paid to do
Team
this?"
Galactic,
I
or whatever
said,
the team in Black and White
"Yep,"
was.
he
And then
said.
they became
"Well, I don't."
Team Galactic,
Then
and then
swiped
Team
all the
Galactic
papers
became
off the table,
Team
stood
whatever
up and
team
walked out.
is in
I was
the other
like,
one.
"Ooh,
I'm not
okay
answering the
then."
phone.
I love that
Damn,
parents
how
and
many
kids only
niggas
need
hitting
to
your
learn
phone?
6 or 7 hours a day at school and they are
My
fine.
grandmother.
You are a true hero for
So you're not gonna answer
teaching
the phone for your
kindergarten.
grandma?
I don't
No,
know the
I
first
never
thing
do.
about teaching and child
Wow.
development.
I don't answer the phone for
6,
nobody.
7 hours a day, 5
think I'm
days a
joking?
week
You think I
sounds
don't
pretty
answer the phone for
reasonable
my
for a
friends
child to
only?
be learning at a
I don't
steady
answer the phone.
pace.
Nope.
Obviously, they'll need help
It's not
every
me
now
being
and then
mean.
because not
I
everything
just
will come
legit don't answer
naturally.
the phone.
How much
That's
longer
fucked
is
up.
a child supposed to learn for after they leave school? I had to tell a well-known gang leader that his son was failing my class. Actually went better than expected, but the anticipation was a beach. How did it go? Were they understanding or just not as threatening as you thought? That sounds cool, but at the same
Acrobatics
time
is cool and all,
nerve-wracking.
but I don't have a
I wonder
flying
his
type, so
child
it's
is
not
doing
pretty
now.
useful.
Former teacher, first parent-teacher conference. I put a lot of time
Okay.
into preparing this evening as an innocent 22-year-old.
Fuck.
I
Wait, you
gave
get
a
a fishing
10-minute
rod at
speech
the
to
end of
about
the game?
15
That's so
family
dumb.
That
members.
is dumb.
They didn't seem to care
That's
at
so
all.
dumb.
Then
What if you
I
want
met
a
with each
Gyarados?
individually, and they
No,
were
which one did you
competent.
get? The old
Some
rod,
stunk of
and you got the
alcohol.
great rod,
One straight up
and you
yelled
got,
at me
like,
for my
another
grading
rod. I
system.
forgot which game that
It was
They use,
basically
like,
the
3 or
beginning
4
of the
fishing
end
rods.
of my interest
You
in
know what I'm
teaching.
talking about, right?
Yes.
And that's terrible. I've talked to a few teachers and they've told me that most teachers don't last longer than 5 or 6 years. And I realize now that this is probably a big reason why. I always tell people that teaching is the greatest profession in the world. If
They
it
said
weren't for
Pokemon
all
never
the
tell
other shit that
lies.
teachers have to do and put up with. Being with the
That's a lot.
kids,
Pika,
though,
Pika,
is awesome and can be very
Pika,
rewarding.
Pika.
Most parents are awesome and I enjoy visiting with them. A very
Why you
small
saying I got
minority
the
will
art
try
on
and
that?
verbally abuse you or bully you.
The
That's not
Pokemon
about
anime
Will
should
twist
end with
words and
Pikachu evolving.
incidents so
Just
they don't
saying.
get into trouble. Some parents
Nah,
can't
that would,
believe
like,
their
take away
angels
from,
can do
like,
anything wrong. I
everything.
don't know why they
No.
believe that. I've ducked up
You
as a
don't think
kid and a
so?
young
No.
adult. My
It should
kid
end
is
with
no
Pikachu
age.
evolving.
That's
No,
not
because
to say
Ash
that
travels
teachers
so
don't
far,
screw
right?
up and twist things
He
either.
travels so far with just the.
So this year I got
Yeah, but
thrown
he
into
ends
would
his
just like-
journey with a
assignment
Raichu, the
in
fuck?
year 2. The week before school
But no,
started,
his point
I
was
teach
his bond
geometry,
was so strong
which
with
many
Pikachu that he
students
could
hate
overcome
because it
anything.
requires a
Why, is it
different
gonna be
type
like a
of
Mega
thinking.
Pikachu or something?
It's almost worse with honor students
You should have
because
done
they
that with
think they
Mega
should
Pikachu instead of
automatically
Mega
know everything
Greninja.
without trying and are shocked when they don't. Anyway,
Honestly, he should have
one of
won
my
the
geometry
Sinnoh
classes
League.
basically
I think it was
tried
the
to
Sinnoh
stage a
League he
mutiny
won.
because of
With
a
all
test
those
before
uber-ass
conferences.
Pokemon? Hell no.
The principal informed
Which
me
one
that
did he
she was
lose?
getting
Oh, yeah,
emails
the
about the
one
class.
He lost all of
I was
them.
prepared for the
Yeah, but
worst,
which one did
and
he
then
lose?
surprised when
That
most
he was
of my
supposed to win.
conferences
Greninja
were very
one.
positive.
Yeah,
Until one
exactly.
couple
That's what I
sat
said.
down and
He
said
definitely
that
wasn't
their
gonna win that
students
Sinnoh
weren't
one with
learning
all
any
them
geometry.
legendaries that guy
I
threw out.
explained
Bro,
that they were
that
He was
constantly
a
distracted
troll.
in class, and that I was giving them new seat assignments to help them focus. Because on the day of conferences, the student in question had spent the entire class period drawing a clown when I thought she was
He had a
taking
Darkrai,
notes.
he had a
Wrong.
Latios.
That was one incident.
He has something
It
else.
doesn't explain the
Yeah,
fact that
Latios,
she's
no,
not
Latios,
learning.
no, Darkrai.
Plus, is it true that he once
That's
forgot
broken.
to
That's
post
not
the answer
fair.
to her review guide, and then gave a quiz the next day
I think his name was
anyway?
Gray
She
or
says
Gary.
this like it's the damning piece
cares?
of evidence in a courtroom
He was a
drama.
dick.
Cue
I'm not-
awkward silence
I'm not
while
gonna
mom
see-
stares at me like an angry
Hey.
bullfrog, presumably
Hey.
shocked that I didn't resign on the spot. This was the biggest flaw they could come up with in my class. I have a crazy professional and personal life and am doing my best. But kids,
Oh my
and
fucking
often
god, these wild
parents,
Pokemon.
will find any possible excuse to avoid
just trying to get
confronting their struggles. I ended up chuckling with my principal about the fact that my failing to upload a document triggered parent emails to the administration
Oh,
after the
cool.
fact when not
You
a
made it
single
perfect.
parent
I
or
didn't-
student
I
bothered to
did-
contact
I
me
did-
the
you took
day
a
of.
picture,
Heaven forbid you
So
try
what?
to tell the
Okay.
students all the answers. Really? I'm not that
his
far
name
out
is
of high
Tobias.
school and most
I
study
think.
guides
Tobias
we
or
didn't get on
something.
Suki's for. It was
Yeah,
nice of you to
Darkrai
do that
and
at all.
Latios on hand.
I mean, it
I forgot
wasn't
the full
exactly a bad conference, but one time the mother of a 6-year-old second grader was pushing for her son to skip second
he only
grade
used
and
two
go
of
to
his
third
Pokemon?
grade. I tried pointing out that even though his
That's a
reading
slap.
and math
That's
skills
a
were
slap.
excellent,
That's a slap.
advancing him further would
Ash
create
got,
a
like,
gap in his
body.
knowledge about science and
Bro, he
social
only used
studies.
two of his-
Not to mention the fact
Smack
that he was
that.
very immature and
Only
socially
two.
sticks out. She kept on insisting that
Alright,
age
let me tell you
was
his full
just a
team.
number.
What?
Finally,
His
I
full team
turned
is
to
broken.
both the mother
Alright.
and father and asked
Let me
tell
whether
you.
he is a
Darkrai,
15-year-old senior
Latios,
in high school.
Latios,
What
Dragonite,
18-year-old woman
Salamence,
is
and
going to
Garchomp.
want to go to prom with him? Then Dad was like, hold
That's
up.
stupid.
6 years old
And
in
he only
second
used the
grade,
two legendaries.
so he already skipped a grade.
He was
Bro,
This
that's
camping.
woman
like-
is obviously not
Bro,
as bright
basically
as
his
her
whole
kid.
team is legendary.
I was 6 in
Dragonite,
second grade and did
Salamence,
not skip a
and
year.
Garchomp.
I just
Have you seen
started
the
kindergarten
Garchomp
when I
tweets
was
on X and
4.
Y?
It's not
Yeah.
that
Bro.
uncommon.
Bro, that's
Once
great.
had a phone conference with a
Bro,
parent
no,
who
this man-
accused me
Mega
of forcing
Evolution?
students to come to my
Mega
house and
Evolution?
build a
Oh my God.
garage for me. The
He's
parent
broken.
said his son was being
He's broken.
ostracized and
He's
punished
actually
by me for
broken.
refusing to come to my house
I'm
and
sick of
work
getting
on my
crits.
garage. The
But
only
anyway,
thing I could do was laugh
he
at
was-
him. I
he was a
thought it was a
troll.
He's
prank
actually
and hung up on
broken, though.
him.
This man is
Next
broken.
morning, I had to meet with my principal because the parent had called and threatened to call the local news media about my classroom if I wasn't immediately fired. The parent left screaming rant on my principal's voicemail.
Will my
We
Pokemon ever
listened to
get
it
a
a few
consistent
times and
level?
got some good laughs. The parent claimed I was making the kids drive to my house during class, and if they didn't, I was failing them. But his son had an A in the class, and the drive to my house was longer than the class period.
Damn, it's too late to use
The
Reflect. I
parent
feel like
was
Reflect
obviously
and like Light
nuts,
Scream
but
should
it
have
had
like
to be
priority,
treated as
like Quick
credible.
Attack.
So there was an investigation.
Because it's
and
not,
there
there's
may
no
even
point
be
in
a
putting up
report about it
Reflect
in my
or Light
personnel
Screen if you're
file.
going to like
I've had other
die
weird
in the next
interactions
move.
with parents, but that one
And plus if
definitely
you're
takes
slower.
the cake. Drugs,
Bro, this thing gave me
schizophrenia.
this-
Any idea where he got that
My
idea?
mom was
I
like,
think
what is
his
this
kid
for?
told
He was
him.
like,
The
that's a
kid
good
had
question.
a weird attitude immediately after that, like an I
Wait,
got
what?
his number type of attitude.
But he gives
had
you the
no
super
idea
rod,
how
right?
hard the
Yes.
principal and I laughed at that
And then your
voicemail.
mom.
He
your
was a
mom
very
asked
odd
you.
kid,
She's like,
probably the weirdest kid I've ever
He
had.
was like,
He took every one
he
of
was like,
my
what is it for?
classes. Too.
He's like, that's a great question.
Join our
Not only
community
the mother
Discord.
of
Link
Mutiny
in
would ask,
description.
right?
One time a child peed all over the bathroom
And
in
then-
school.
and then he
When
was
we
like,
brought it
it's
up
for
with the
Alice.
parent, they demanded to
You
know
know
why
what?
we didn't teach them how to properly use the bathroom. My GF's mom is a teacher in a very poor,
You did all that work for
mostly
what?
racial minority area. She once had a
No,
child
I didn't
in
complete my
third grade,
quest.
so was on the cusp
What
of
quest.
I'm
Tested
behind
for
now.
special needs, but basically was
Bro,
approached
that's
as
actually-
being
I
slow
should've-
but no serious
See, I missed out
biological
so much on
developmental
this.
issues.
I'm sad now.
This child,
I'm so
on
sad.
one disgusting occasion, ate his
I
own
thought I could reach
feces.
out already.
Yes, ingested on
Rage
purpose
to
his own
Jellyfish.
excrement. When brought up to the mother,
It's not the game that fucking everyone gets sponsored by.
Administrator in the room
The
responded
one
and
that
sent him
also
with
took
some
on,
crackers.
Damn, they actually tricked you into buying it.
Is that a sign of abuse?
It's free.
I
Rachel
read
is
that
free.
playing with smearing fesses
But
can be
that
a sign of
package
abuse at
design
a
game
young
that
age,
is
but eating?
I regret
Wife
it
just
now, but,
told me another one. The
whatever.
last conference of the day. The parent, a guy, started the meeting with saying, "Do you feel that?"
The only
Do you
reason
feel
I'm not
nervous?"
using
Implying
Joltik
a
is like
connection and
Joltik
nervously
is
laughing.
way too overleveled.
My wife felt
For my
super
liking.
uncomfortable because he seemed to be coming onto her and sharing personal details about his life. No matter what she said, okay. Have a nice
feel like,
night.
Mel,
He'd
you're about to
just
evolve
start
soon.
another conversation and keep trying to talk. She eventually had to just grab her stuff and basically leave for the day to get him to leave. Do you feel that? That's my total lack of interest. OHHES. The creepy dad conferences. I've had many of those. The ones where they stand way
know what's
too
funny?
close and lean
I
and all weird.
I never battled
Sometimes
that
they
one. I battled
smell like
I didn't battle
alcohol.
him. When you
Sometimes
just
they
battle.
just smell like sweat and desperation. 100% gross and
Sharing
makes me
is so
want to scream
annoying.
every time.
For me.
From the
I mean, I
same
smacked
parents'
most of the
evening.
team except the
Parents
starter,
of a
but, like,
student
so
with a
annoying.
name fancy enough they might as well have been called Lord and Lady Ashcroft. They greet me with "It's a
There's gonna be
pleasure
like
to
a
meet
Perline,
you. You are the dunk like all
President
the other
Perline,
teachers in very proper English." With
or
gobsmacked.
Light
Spoke
part.
to a colleague later who
like
said, "Did you
Liepard.
speak to X's parents?" They just sat down, called me a dunt and left. I had a student who was great at the work,
You have like no
but
ground.
swore to an extent that would make a
For
trooper
Palpitoad?
blush.
Why don't you just-
Hey,
Yeah.
how are you doing today?
I could've
For
sworn he was a
instance,
ground
would
thing.
come out as
He
ducking
is.
Oh no, he's
high.
a golf form.
Ducking how the duck are you
No,
ducking
Palpitoad's
doing
a
you ducking
ground
gobshite? Suffice to
Why don't you
say,
use a ground?
I brought
It's
this up
fine.
with his
Wait,
mother,
what type of
who
food did
turned
you
to him
use?
and said, "You ducking what?"
Oh, it's cold.
Ducking hell.
He's
You ducking
immune to
talked about
ground
this, you
because he's
wanker.
flying.
I stopped
You're
policing
talking about
his
rock,
language
aren't
after
you?
that.
I got
There
hit by a
wasn't any
stone,
ducking
yeah,
point. Oh no,
I could've sworn I got
they
hit by
got
a
you
stone.
too. I had a parent-teacher conference where I basically got called a racist. The father was like, "Can't you see my son is not like other kids? Give him the benefit of the doubt," heavily indicating his race. This was after his son cheated on a test. The best part was the father was a vice principal at another school, but his son went to our expensive private school because he didn't want him in the public school he worked at.
Why did
The
a
kid
seed bomb do
eventually
that much to
confessed.
Liquid?
And to
I
be
mean,
100% transparent, my school is incredibly diverse. He was far from the only kid there who was his race. Admin wasn't super supportive. They ended up fudging his
know what?
grade to please
think-
the parents
I think-
after I gave him the 0.
I think-
They wanted me to do it, but I refused. I told
think
admin
the
they can
Elite
do
Four
whatever they
should
want
be like
with the
a
grade
live
book, but
thing,
I'm not
like an
touching
actual
it.
live thing.
Had an
What do you mean live
experience
thing?
like that once.
So, like,
was teaching at a
best-
majority
the
minority
best
school
top-
where
the
the
top
stuff
6
wasn't
trainers-
as representative. Only 40%
Top 5 trainers in
minority
the world.
teachers. As a result, it was a frequent and not always
You have to have
unwarranted
online connection.
occurrence for a teacher
That's
to get
broken,
labeled as
no.
racist, or at
In
the
the
very
top
least
5
not treating
characters,
students
top 5,
equally. I was
Elite
sitting in
Four,
a
right?
meeting between
Mhm.
parents and all of this students' teachers,
they should be
as
the
well
ones-
as the
the top 5 in
principal,
the road, they
to
should be the
discuss
Elite
gross
Four in the
behavior
road.
concerns we were having with this child, sexually harassing peers, violent outbursts,
Okay, you know what?
etc.
Not the Elite Four, but,
Parents
like, the
claimed it was
champions
all
should be, like,
because
the
of
top
his
four.
racist math teacher.
Mhm.
The
Top
entire
Pokemon trainer.
time.
And like to
Student
win the
is talking
Pokemon
in
League,
American to his
that.
parents and not responding
once
to
you
any
beat that
English
man,
questions
you have
we
that job.
pose. This goes on for about 30 minutes until our math
Let's
teacher
stick
speaks
to the
up in
original,
what
okay?
I was later told was perfect
No.
American.
Yeah.
Explaining the
Let's
situation
stick to the
in
original,
child's
okay?
parents
This
and their
world-
native
this world
language.
needs reform.
Turns out our
Y'all
white
are
math
weak.
teacher
The game
was
was
a
already
South
made.
African orphan that ended up raised in
Y'all are weak.
Ethiopia and
Don't
went
eat
to school in
Ivy.
the same
Don't eat
town
Ivy.
as the
We're
child's
gonna
father,
force you to become a
albeit
true
15
math.
years earlier.
If Ash
Unfortunately,
can
it
get
had
whooped
little
for like
effect,
10
and
seasons,
3 years
so
later
can
the
y'all.
student was in jail for
We don't
selling drugs
discriminate.
to minors. Less than 6 months after being expelled
First
for
of all, Ash is a
intentionally
stupid
starting a
player.
fire
He
in the
picks the
art
bad
room.
Pokemon.
That's crazy.
You
It's
know what?
even crazier that the
We're not
math
gonna
teacher
disrespect
hid his
Bill
language
Lincoln, alright?
skills till just the perfect moments
He
to
thinks he
chime
can win a
in.
Pokemon
It's
League
like
with a
something
Pikachu.
out of a movie.
And
I'm a
he
school
did.
psychologist,
He didn't.
not a teacher, but we still
He
have
did. He
lots
won
of
the-
parent
he won the,
conferences.
Ultra
Worst
Sun and
one,
Ultra Moon.
spent a good half
took
an
him
hour
80
explaining
years
that
to
I
do
was
so, but-
diagnosing her son with autism and why.
He's that
Everyone
trainer
agrees,
he's that employee
including the
that
parent,
the
and we
trainer
move
wanted
into
you to
developing his
do.
IEP.
Plus it was plot
20
armor.
minutes into this, we're talking about his behavior plan, and she asks
So
me,
was
I'm
Gen 4.
wondering, do
I
you
was
think
like,
he
I had,
might
like,
have
all the
autism?
legends.
Edit. I do want to
He
say
lost,
that
got beaten. That wasn't
98%
plot
of
armor.
parents I work with
Actually, it
are
kind of
also
was because
very
he got too
invested in their
close.
children.
He got too
The
close.
stories in this conversation
No,
are the
how do you get all-
exceptions. Not the
No,
norm.
he only.
One
he
of
lost,
my friends just
he lost
moved
to
from
only
4th
two
grade
of his
special ed to
Only two of
1st
his
grade. The kids are
Two of his
smaller,
full thing.
cuter, and
What do
can't
you mean he
draw
got
blood or
cloned?
bruise her
He got
as much,
washed.
which is a
Wait, so
plus.
he used all
The
6 of his
drawback that she's
Pokemon?
just now realizing
Yeah.
is the parents. Older kids' parents have gotten used to
Wait,
the
let me
fact
see
that
how,
their kid
like,
isn't
how
normal
Ash's
and needs
like,
extra
pretty good.
attention. Parents of the really young kids are still in the denial stage. Half of them still can't accept that their kids should be in special ed, and are constantly fighting to get them out. I know this can seem trite, but with
Devise
those
is the only
parents I
trainer that
channeled
can
that
beat
into
Ash
putting
in
them
his
to
exotic
work.
values
I
and only
made
two
sure
of his
the IEP
Pokemon.
goals reflected what I
He got
wanted,
body,
but
yes.
the
Only
parents
he
suggested
only
and
used
made
two.
them responsible for supplementing their
got
child's
body.
school
How did he
day
get a
with
Dark Ride?
additional
Rumors
work at
go
home.
that he got Dark
For
Ride,
example,
that he gained
if
every
they
single
felt
gym
Johnny's
badge from the
dyslexia was a
Sinnoh region
phase
by
and he
using
just
his Dark
needed
Ride.
more time, then
All his other
certainly they
Pokemon
would
are
agree that a
Louise,
reading
Third, and
instructional
everyone's
level
second prior
text with him
to
each night would be effective.
I'm
Parents
gonna get some
usually need
revives.
time to come to terms with it. But what difference does that make
Haven't
as
you
long
seen
as
your
they
match
agree
revives,
those
have you?
educational goals will help their kid either way? Again, I know it can be trite. What ended up happening?
Look,
I
Vivian,
was
make your way
K5
down
and would
this
be
route,
their
this
sped
rainy,
teacher for
rainy
multiple
route.
years. The parents
This
would
raggy,
come
raggy
to work
route.
with the team
What do
and
you sound?
realize a
I
label
said
isn't a
rainy. I
limit.
said rainy,
It can
rainy
provide
route.
No, you said
insight and
regular
specific
route.
strategies.
Like regular
As
route.
long as there was progress, they
Rainy,
would grow
rainy
to accept
route.
it. All the best to your friend.
Wait, this
The
book,
one
this
where
person's
a
a level
parent
64
told me it was
Pokemon.
unreasonable to
Wait a
expect
minute.
my sophomore US history students to write a
Where are you at in
5-paragraph
game?
essay. She claimed she had expertise
The
and
route-
she used to be an
the
English
route-
teacher.
the route
Honestly,
left of the,
though, I've been
Pokemon
very
League.
lucky in my career to
So you're
have never
both
had a
before the
seriously
Pokemon
bad
League.
parent-teacher conference.
Are you serious?
In my sophomore history class,
Are you
we had
serious?
several essays, maybe 3-4,
Are you serious?
a semester. It's wild that she, as an
Are you
English
serious?
teacher,
Okay, stop.
would say that LOL. Ha ha ha. Yeah.
I kinda wanna
When
play
she
some
said
route
XP.
that was-
it was all
You-
I
you know
could
that
do
route
not
that
to
was
say
called
I
off?
see why
Yeah.
you used to be an English teacher.
That one.
This
That
is the
route.
same
That
conference
right
where
there.
she asked, isn't this your first year teaching? It wasn't. Parent was irate because I caught her 6th grade daughter cheating on a test. Parent said daughter was too stupid to cheat and kept calling her dumb and an idiot. The daughter was right next to her. Hearing her
Fuck,
mother
I forgot
talk
to
all
get some
this
repels.
negative shit about her absolutely broke my heart. Parent had their period all over the student chair,
Ew.
right through her pajama pants. This is what I came for.
Captain Turner's a grass
This is what
type
I was
thing.
scared of in grade 5-7.
Baby,
Luckily,
this is
mine
what
happened
you
in the
came
middle of
for.
August. Honestly though,
Lightning
before I got it,
strikes every
I was
time
absolutely
she
petrified of this
moves.
happening. I pretty much wore black leggings and jeans all 2 years straight. I actually just quit my day job after 2.5
I like how you
years
can't
for
see
several
the-
reasons. I
Actually, never
teach
mind,
at a
that's perfectly
charter
lined
school
up.
in a suburb of Phoenix, so I
I was
have
gonna
a
say,
lot
you
of
can't see the bottom of her feet.
conservative parents.
Why you wanna see her
Hippie.
feet?
In
The
my
fuck?
first year of teaching, I received
talking
no
about
less
the
than 5
lesbian.
emails
Oh.
from one student's mother complaining about how my unshaved legs
What do you
were
guys-
indoctrinating
wait a
her
minute, what do you
daughter
got
and
against-
teaching her my
No, you
feminist
saying
ways.
something about you can't see
I
the
have
bottom of
never
her feet, so I was
spoken to
curious,
any
what do
of
you
my
mean?
students about my shaving habits
Fuck.
because I
I'll
teach
fucking-
5th grade
I'll
and
fucking-
that would be super
Wait.
weird. None of them
You-
have
I'm
ever
only
asked
level
me about it.
33.
My lead teacher told me to
That's
ignore
what
it and she would handle
what
it.
it is.
Excuse
a week
me?
after this, the
Obviously.
mother requested a
Obviously.
morning
What are you
meeting
talking
with
about?
Obviously,
myself and
because,
my lead teacher to discuss her daughter's grades. Except the entire time she only ripped into me and demanded that I be
I'ma tear you a
because
new
I
one.
was so disgusting and an inappropriate excuse for a teacher. It turned into her screaming at me for 10 minutes until she was escorted off campus by administration. She was then banned from even
Please don't
entering the
side me.
hallway that our classroom was in. Apparently she had had issues with the way teachers dressed in the past because heels and tight pants were too much of an influence on her daughter, who was kind and smart
God.
despite her a-hole mother.
Oh my god, the
Right.
cable turned
This
off.
is the craziest story on this thread so far. How on earth does she think she has a right to tell
Okay,
you
I
to
need to get
shave
some
your
repels.
legs? And why would any sane person care about unshaved legs in the first place? Sorry you were put through all that craziness. At least your admin has your back on this issue. Honestly, this was one of the only times that they did have my back. Probably because it was so outrageous. That first class was my easiest class yet. But that one mother was totally out of bounds. I never even spoke to the dad. It was all just wild. Glad I left on a high note, but equally glad to be moving on. I was teaching 8th grade. I called a parent due to having their child repeatedly disrupt my class. I don't like to kick students out because to me that means they have won. They aren't learning anything if they aren't in my room. I also operate on the idea that even if they are tuning me out, they may read one of my posters and retain something. Anyway, I called a parent, explained that their child was disruptive, blurting out, passing notes, moved to different seats, texting, saying rude things, etc. The parent said, I bet my child isn't the only one. I responded, you're right, but I'm talking to you about your child, not someone else's. Isn't it your job to correct their classroom behavior? I responded, I have explained the steps I have taken to support your child in the classroom. What do you want me to do about it? I responded, well, I'm not old enough to be your child's parent, so I would appreciate parental support. This is what I said instead of parent your ducking child. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day. Like and subscribe right now.
Hey
or else
Brianna,
this will
how are
be
you?
in your bed tonight. r/ask Reddit by Planet Reddit.
I streamed earlier,
What becomes more ducked
but
up the longer
I got
you
bored
think
and I
about
decided to
it?
stream again.
Is it crazy how saying sentences backwards creates backwards sentences?
Plus
Saying
Mel
how
called me.
crazy it is?
Just kidding.
What? I think I need an adult.
Someone's not putting.
Why
I was
anything
kidding.
exists.
You know
And this
I
is
hate
how one starts
I'm
down the
joking.
lovely
Alright.
road of an existential crisis.
I was binge watching
Once
this
you get past the
series
initial
called
shock,
Hollywood.
existentialism
It's
is
actually
quite
pretty good. It's on
liberating.
Netflix.
Owning pets. I still love them though. I've had this thought a few times. I have an animal living in my house, and I pick up her shit. I see it more as I stole this animal from its biological mother
I'm
and
allergic
have
to One
forced it
Piece
to
now.
live with me and love me in order for it to receive food
Oh,
and
then I'm allergic.
shelter. Some people get away with unforgivable crimes because they could afford a good lawyer. Some people are punished for crimes they did not commit because they could not afford a good lawyer.
I still haven't
This
finished
is
it
even
though.
worse.
I might
You know,
finish it
it
after
can
this
be
stream.
debated what someone who has committed a crime deserves, but few people would say someone who has not violated the law deserves legal punishment. My grandma's life, and how she fills her time day after
How's
day.
work?
She's up at the crack of dawn. 0 hobbies. Doesn't really watch TV. Stopped cooking a year ago. What does she do all day? Isn't she bored?
It's basically
Is she
about
sad?
these group of
I hope
people,
she's
like,
not sad.
it's
That
about like,
kinda makes me
I think there's
sad.
like 4 of
Now I
them.
want to
It's like
spend
4 of these
time with
people,
her.
they're trying to become famous, and this was like
Hey
set
guys,
in like
thanks for all the
the
interest in my
1940s to
post.
50s.
If anything, this post reminded people about how special their grandparents are or were. I try to see her once a week. You guys should too. Just a little context. She's a World War II survivor. She never had a childhood
That's
and
good.
never learned how to let loose or take vacation. She was in a work camp by 9 years old. She used to knit and make the greatest food ever with my grandfather. But he died 8 years ago and her body has been failing her ever since. She's still sharp and quick as a whip but can't do any of the activities she used to do. She's amazing. I made a documentary about their lives in World War II and it was the greatest discovery and thing I ever did for my family. Edit 2. Some people have been asking about the documentary I filmed. Here is his YouTube link. Maybe she's
I'm
on
the
Reddit.
person to come
Seriously
to
though,
for
it's love to
Netflix
see my
suggestions. I feel like
grandparents again.
people always
Give her a
suggest like
call, it
things
will
like
make
The
her day.
Office
Holy shit.
and all that
Now
bullshit.
that I think about it, there's going to be a
Yeah.
ton of
I don't find The
people on
Office
internet
funny
in
at
just a couple
all,
of
and it's pretty
years.
whack.
The amount of chickens in the world that get consumed each day.
It's
I
horribly
thought about it
unfunny.
when seeing a share a portion of chicken wings in a restaurant. There were 12 wings in this one portion. That's at least 6 chickens that have died in that one dish. Consider how many of that dish the restaurant sells a day. Let's say at least 10. That's at least 60 chickens that have died just for that particular dish in that restaurant alone every day. Then think of how many other restaurants there are in your area. Then think about how many restaurants there are in the world. That's not even thinking about the amount of whole chickens that are bought
You should
to
watch
cook at
Drag
home,
Race.
or chicken that is used
Like
for
RuPaul's
pet
Drag
food,
Race.
etc. My mind can't comprehend how many chickens must be eaten daily, and I've just blown my mind again thinking about
This is
it
probably a
whilst
risk,
writing this comment.
because I don't
As of
think Maurice can take a
2014,
hit.
in the United States, 8 billion chickens are consumed per year, which translates to 21,917,808 chickens per day. Americans eat 25 billion chicken wings per year.
I'm not sure if
with
it's on Hulu.
1.25 billion, or 100 million pounds, eaten during the Super Bowl weekend alone. How can 25 billion wings come from only 8 billion
I didn't check if it's on
chickens?
Hulu.
I assume they mean the little nugget things they have at like pizza places.
There's like
where it's
12
called
seasons,
chicken
and
wings or buffalo wings, but it isn't.
there's like 12
actually a wing.
seasons, and
Damn,
The
there is
12th
some
season
serious
is still
passion
going
this
on.
topic.
It's been like, we're like
You
11
can't be
episodes in.
absolutely sure that whatever your senses tell you is reality.
Oh, thank
Not
God.
only does your brain have to interpret the world around you, but it also fills in gaps at random whether that's what's there or not, and is essentially a major reason for a lot of car accidents. Working to get money to pay for a house and car so you have a place to sleep and a way to get to work. Buy this car to go to work. Go to work to pay for this car. It's your Westworld loop. Freeways. We all agree to get on this big road and we have to go really fast but not too fast, and we're all in 4-ton metal machines that can blow up. Nobody duck up. Just the fact that I pilot a 4-ton machine around is mind-blowing enough.
What?
Add in the fact that there's literally millions of other people that I don't know doing the very same thing, all with varying amounts of distraction. There are people
Sure, say it on
driving
stream.
right now that are only barely
I need to
paying
take the
enough
fucking
attention to the
EXP
world
share from
around their
Mesphion.
death machine to just barely not hit anything.
I haven't seen it
And
on
I still
Hulu.
enjoy
Well, you
driving.
could check. I can't check right now.
Christ, what kind of vehicles are y'all driving? 4 tons is more than your average medium-duty pickup. 2.5 to 3 tons. Why am I me instead of someone else? Then you realize you are someone else to someone else's me. And maybe they're asking the same question. Edit. Whoa. This blew up. For clarification, Sonder isn't exactly what I'm
Mood.
referencing, though it's related, I guess. It's this almost existential anxiety about why am I this 31-year-old dude stuck in traffic on 66, instead of some 20-year-old.
I have to go to this over-the-phone therapy
and
like on the 8th, and I don't feel like doing that. Like, I'd rather just go in person.
And wondering
Don't worry
why
about it.
they aren't some 31-year-old half the world away stuck in
I'll talk to you
traffic.
about it later.
And how I could
But
be
yeah, I have to
that
go.
other person and would not have an answer because the question would remain.
I don't feel
It's
like
about getting stuck in
I don't
the
like
loop of
over-the-phone
questioning
shit.
the nature of consciousness and trying to find purpose in the chaos of chance. Another user mentioned the short story The Egg, which delves into this a bit. The video game, Soma, as well. I suggest looking into both. It took me longer than I care to admit to fully realize and accept that everyone else is as wrapped up in their own head as I am. They're not all just extras and bit characters in my life's movie. They have their own
So I don't
life
get the
movie and
wrong-
I'm an extra bit character in theirs. I don't have a life movie. I just shit, eat, and sleep.
A lot of like
Maybe I am an extra
my
in your
mom's
life.
friends, like people
They
my
named
mom's
the store
friends know got
Banana Republic.
coronavirus for some reason.
There's a sporting goods store in
It's
my
like people
town
know how to
called
stay their ass in the
Sweatshop.
house.
Edit, it's actually a UK national chain apparently. There's a produce company here in the US called Natural Selection. They ended up killing a child with salmonella-tainted spinach. Proof. News.com link. Technology. Man, I'm writing this on a tiny pocket-sized computer while I'm sitting on my toilet. What the duck? Edit. Awesome. My most upvoted comment is about browsing Reddit while I take a shit. Put strong, my friend.
Wait, Brian, I don't know if I
Without
asked you this before, but
without
are you
strife.
taking online
If
classes?
there's a stain, find bliss by blasting it with piss. Words to live by. How big the universe is. This mother ducker is about 32 billion light years from Earth, and it's probably nowhere near the most distant thing from our planet. And what's just past the farthest thing from our planet? No one knows, and it's
Alright.
physically impossible to know unless we find a way to exceed the speed of light. You're made of atoms. Somehow these atoms have arranged themselves so that they can think about their existence in this arrangement. Even more
Oh, you're doing
so,
summer
all
classes
we
too?
are is a
Okay.
relationship between a set of certain types of atoms. The atoms aren't thinking about themselves. An abstract entity formed from a relationship of physical objects is, in theory, a particularly complex grid of rocks in a desert could do the same thing. Or a computer. Or an entire universe. The atoms don't care. Only the relationship does. That the alphabet's order is arbitrary. But it's in alphabetical order. Obligatory edit. Glad you liked it.
Medical
Thanks.
terminology.
Quet IUR past GHJKLZX.
Is it like
CVB
what the
NNN.
fuck happened?
Now I know my
Anyway, is it a
QWEs.
oh my god.
Next time won't
Is it a
you
requirement
sing
for
with
your
me? Flint, Michigan
for your
is
major?
still lacking clean water. Drinking culture. We basically go out with friends to poison ourselves until we can't even remember the memories we went out to have.
When he said
It's not
drinking
just
culture, I
humans
thought he
that
was
did
like
it
I thought he meant like drinking
Dolphins will chew
culture.
on
Like,
poisonous puffer fishes to
he
get
was
high.
drinking culture.
They'll even pass the puffer fish to their dolphin stoner buddies so they can get high too. Monkeys are known to intentionally get drunk on fermented plants, and even steal tourists' alcohol. I guess I'll go find a Nito video too. So my comment
Watch this
doesn't
thing have
seem so
earthquake.
half-assed. Edit. YouTube.com link. Elephant 2. YouTube.com link. Join our community Discord. Link in description. That Mickey Mouse has a dog named Pluto. Think about this for a second.
Yo, I'm sick of these
Goofy
extra
is a dog
drills.
as well, but he gets rights and respect. Do we ever see any
I
other
don't know.
pets in that universe? The only difference
If you had a
between
fire
Goofy
type,
and Pluto
you
is
should
marginal intelligence.
They
Mickey
still
Mouse
ground or
keeps a
something like that?
mentally
You know, like
challenged
my
person
Pokemon are
as a pet.
slow.
I have a comic somewhere where
So like,
Goofy puts
I don't know
up
how the
mouse
hell
traps
my
as a-
Crocodile
Think about that.
got
That's
slower
because
than the
Pluto
extra
found
drill.
out
That makes
what
no
Mickey
sense.
was up to, so they lobotomized
train
him.
him.
I'm not doing all
Language.
that.
Just trying to think how it came about.
I mean, you're gonna have to
How
train
our
everything before
ancestors
anyway.
started
I'm
forming
not doing
sounds
Unless
and
you're gonna stop
combining
before
them
you
to make
do.
words. How one slight tonal change or pronunciation
I don't
could mean
grind.
something totally different. How
How
many
you beat the
different
game?
languages we have,
By
or
just
how many have been
beating
lost to
the
time.
game.
I was thinking-
You don't need to
I
grind to
can't
beat this
just
game. This game
imagine
is easy as
David
hell.
Attenborough
Oh,
giving
you
commentary
use, like, a
in an
lot of
effort to
revives,
attract the
huh?
attention
I
of the
used to,
opposite
but okay.
sex. The females risk skin cancer by laying in artificial sunbeds to intentionally burn their own skin. This causes their skin to produce
never
melatonin, which
noticed that.
results in an overall
Fuck!
darker
Oh my
complexion.
god.
Mayo, it makes them sleepy. Melanin. Just how many people died during the Second World War?
Oh my
For
god. This
anyone
is so
who hasn't seen
annoying.
that stunning shot of the fallen of World War II, the most dramatic part is when
So
the Soviet
freaking dumb.
deaths start being counted around the 6-minute mark. Edit.
I accidentally
For
used
those who
dig,
want to
and like it
support
took me
the
back to the
creator,
entrance.
Go to his site. Fallen.io link.
Oh yeah, I forgot there's a
I knew
delay.
Soviets took the brunt
I can
of
tell you
it.
which way to go.
But,
if you want.
damn.
I know where to go.
Who said Humpty Dumpty was an egg? If I recall correctly, the original
Humpty Dumpty is
was
egg.
a hen. It is believed to be a riddle with an
Even though
egg
it's not
being the answer.
specifically
The
said, Humpty
canon
Dumpty's
thing happened
egg.
in
I don't care. I don't care what people say.
1648.
Humpty
The
Dumpty's
Humpty
egg.
Dumpty rhyme was published in Juvenile Amusements by
Humpty Dumpty
Samuel
had an
Arnold in
He's an egg.
1797.
There's
The
no
price we force
actual
others to pay
facts.
to live
Yeah,
as
but
we do. If you
I
think
believe
about
with
it,
all my heart
so
he's
much
an
of our
egg.
stuff is built in shit conditions. Built by people
There's a
who
lot
have to
of
take
people
whatever
who
money
your
they
heart
can.
that probably
In
aren't
countries often
Yeah, like
without
what?
the kindest of governments.
Alright.
Which
To be honest,
permit
he's a-
factories
he's a
to
banana.
enforce pretty horrible labor conditions.
Obviously.
Our clothes are produced this way,
Obviously.
our phones, our laptops.
I feel like
the
Humpty
cases
Dumpty
they
was
come in. The suffering
Mel.
that is endured to allow us to live
Bite
in
me.
comfort is horrifying.
Bite me.
And yet none of us will change
Bite me
our
right now.
lifestyle. Myself included.
Bite me right now.
We'll make excuses. One person changing won't make any
Wait, you got a
difference.
shiny?
Or I donate to
No.
charity. I'm trying to help these people in my own way.
Yes,
but
it is.
ultimately we live
Crocodile?
with it because it's easy. We were born in
I
the
just
right
assume
place
all
to
of them are
take
supposed to be the
advantage
same
of
color.
it. So
I
we
know
do.
that, you know. Like-
Yes, we like to think we're modern and not like the Romans with their slaves or
Is that,
whatever.
like,
but 1,000
shiny
years
crocodile
from
with the
now,
same
I can
color?
only imagine how
Or is it
people will
blue?
view this society.
I forgot.
I mean, from an
I just
objective
played
standpoint,
It was
it's a
some
pretty
shit.
brutal world out there. I don't know how much we need to blame ourselves. I mean, I go
Brianna,
to the
when did you
store
stop
and buy
believing
shit
in
I need
Santa
to live.
Claus?
I don't live a
I wanna hear
crazy
your story.
lifestyle. I don't think we're born into this
Or do you
world
never
owing it to anyone
believe
to
in
save
him?
it. But yeah, I absolutely am in the world upper class and take advantage of it. The fact that you're really nothing but a 10-pound mass of tissue inside a skull really ducks me up sometimes. Also that the brain named itself. You're not though. We are not.
I stopped
brains
believing like
sliding
third
around in
grade
a
when I
body
saw my mom
vehicle.
bringing my
We're our bodies
presents.
too. Everything's connected. This is why eating shitty food and not exercising will make you feel mentally awful. Or why freezing your
My
face
dreams
with
were
Botox
crushed.
will make you less emotionally responsive. I came upon a website that depicts the size of our solar system. A tediously accurate scale model of the solar system. Joshworth.com link. One day when I had a lot of time on my hands, I went through it all and this one line blew me away. If the proton of a hydrogen atom was the size of the sun on this map, we would need 11 more of these maps to show the average distance to the electron. Never confirmed if this was true, but if someone could, that would be awesome. Quite remarkable if you think about it. Edit. Another quote from the site that I loved was,
Oh my god, I keep getting crit.
pathetically insignificant and miraculously important at the same
This game
time.
doesn't like
Why'd you
me, I
give her-
Still,
swear.
it gave me
Give
some
her a
type of
miracle
closure
seed.
when my mind
That's
was
not gonna
running
help the
crazy while
crits.
trying to
Why would you
comprehend
use a
this.
grass type
I
and a
hope
rock
it does
type?
the same for you.
What are you
otherwise.
talking about? Grass is
Well,
super effective against
is
rock.
nobody going to point this out?
Those water.
Yeah, but I'm using Lily, be mine.
Like, you don't want to be
full.
green.
What does the
That's
Hitchhiker's
fine.
Guide to the Galaxy say the meaning of
It's
life
not.
is?
It's gonna make. It's not
42.
gonna make a
What we
difference.
can see and
It's really not
experience
gonna make a
up the
difference.
meaning of life,
I
not
like
the
how you're
emptiness around us.
I will never grind,
like
Brianna.
song
Grinding.
one.
I would never grind. I don't have a reason to
Watching my
grind. This
dog
game is
die in
easy.
my
I could beat this
arms.
game
I
without
was
grinding
actually
because I
just
did
going
before.
over it again in my head the other night. It was the hardest thing I've
I'm
had
tired
to
of
deal
y'all.
with so far. Watching the life leave his eyes.
I
was
grind at
soul
Smash.
crushing,
It's a
and
competitive
unfortunately,
game.
from time to time, it pops back
So
up
it's
in my
not
head. Usually, when I'm
Okay,
trying
but
to
like.
go to sleep. The longer I think about it, the more details.
Oh yeah,
I
Brianna.
remember
I'm
and the
starting to
more
get sick of Smash.
heartbroken I get. Miss you, Kyujo. Living vicariously.
Which is why I
through your
haven't been
children.
playing.
Something kind of bums me
You
out
don't
over
really
someone
know.
forcing their own likes.
You said what?
All my
Desires and
back pushing.
personality ahead of their
Because-
child so they can
because
live
all
out
my
their
back
dream.
pushing.
How you
That girl
truly
was on
can't
my
know a
Pokemon,
person.
and one
Someone you once
and,
thought
like,
the
the guy
world
had
of
10
could become
earthquakes in the
unrecognizable and
It
I had
was.
used Max Potion
How you
after
can do
Max
so
Potion.
much for a person and are solely
It
relying
was. It
on
really
their
was. But I got
selflessness and
sick
hope
of it.
that
I don't
they
know
are
why.
good.
I just
It's a
started
truly
to like dislike
terrifying
it.
notion, as I am not one to give up on people
You play like
easily.
20
To
times
make
a
me
day.
means you failed and failed hard as a person.
I used to play it
But
like
I
20
failed
times a
seeing
day.
these faults
Now I
pop
could
enough,
barely even
and
play it
that
for
is
an
the
hour.
most ducked up thing once I admit
I don't know
it.
why. What happened to me?
Eating. Things like ground up dead cow topped in coagulated cow nipple juice is obviously
Cow
weird.
nipple juices. Oh my
But say
god.
you can't handle the thought of slaughterhouses and go vegan.
Couples
Some of
therapy.
the
You
food
know
you
what?
consume is effectively the detachable and
People be
sack
sleeping on
of a
couple
plant
therapy
made to
because it
nourish
actually
the
helps.
offspring of a plant in its earliest days
Because
of
people don't
life,
like, you know, to
before
talk
it
about
can
this
do
shit.
photosynthesis on its own. Other times, you're eating plant genitals, or
So
a
I
fruit
need to
evolved to
look at
entice you to eat
I'll be
so
the
that the
therapist.
plant seeds can be spread through your
No, I
shit.
want you
Then
to.
there
I
are
want
the
you
plants where
to
we
take
just
my
hack off
legacy.
some of the living beings' literal limbs
I
just
don't
for the
like
sake
Minecraft.
of making another
Main
plant taste
Zelda
better.
for me.
Then most plants themselves effectively
never
feed
learn
on organic
how to
goo made
play.
up dead stuff
That's
and
like a
shit.
chore.
Everything
Damn,
can be
what you trying to
gross if
say?
you overthink it. At some point
Oh,
you have
right.
to just accept that eating
Wait,
means
why is your mouth not
decomposing other
covered with
organic
snow?
matter. It's
Excuse
all
me?
chemistry and physics
My
at
mouth
that
is covered.
point. Vegetarian.
No, it's not, because
What
you're
was
not
before
in
the
that
Big
area.
Bang? That would be the
Mine
big
would.
foreplay.
It
Like, when I
was.
went there my
The
first
butterfly
time, it
effect
was
of
covered in
previously
snow.
seemingly
It
small
was.
choices in
But
our
is it
paths.
It
still?
still is.
How much would be different
did you
if I
check?
made different choices?
Yeah.
An almost
Go check right now,
disturbingly
send it
large
to me.
part of my life can basically be traced back
Exactly.
to when I begged
You
my
have
mom
no
to
proof.
let me play World of Warcraft.
Maybe I'm a cheat.
Maybe
Essentially,
because
my
you live in
friends,
a different
jobs,
state.
living situations have all been changed
I'm kidding.
because of the people I met on
You gonna
WoW,
stomp the yard on
and
me? That's
even other than
domestic
that,
abuse.
Choices like which server and faction I chose. Had I not picked the server I did,
Oh,
I
do,
would
do,
have
do,
never
do.
met a very good friend of mine. It's like so many little things fell into place and completely changed my
And
life.
suddenly
If I think
cold
about it,
on
it
you.
mind ducks me trying to determine how my life may be
Suddenly
different.
edging aside.
The fact that every time
Suddenly
I
a
catch a snail, it
fool.
is actually a decoy snail. Thanks for watching.
Oh my god, why is Extra so
Subscribe
fast for
for
no
3
reason?
videos a day.
Why are we going so freaking fast?
Like and subscribe right now, or
I'm
else
not gonna
this
say
will
that.
be in your bed tonight. r/ask
What'd you
Reddit by
say?
Planet
Grab
Reddit.
me-
If you could travel back
me
in
go
time
eat.
and give your parents advice on how to raise you, what would you say? You guys should go to a counselor for anger management issues and actually take their advice.
Oh, thank God.
Also, just because I'm sad or upset,
Before that
doesn't
horn
mean
drill
being
one hit KO'd me,
disrespectful.
and that was
One
actually
last
crazy.
thing. Don't push your dreams and goals on me. Let me accomplish my own goals. Love this.
Playboy,
Thank you.
Playboy, Playboy.
Hey, Dad, use a ducking condom. I sadly don't believe they would ever listen, even if I could give them advice. But I'd definitely tell my mom to get a divorce ASAP. Dragging it out for 21 years only damages everyone. Hey,
Mel,
Dad,
would you ever get a
I know it
divorce?
doesn't seem like it, but you're lazy.
Will you ever get a
Worthless
divorce?
son is watching you work your ass off. And later on in life, he's going to remember how hard you work every time he starts to slack off. People will compare him to
We
you,
don't love
and
you.
he'll consider it the greatest compliment ever. I know
We don't
it
love these
feels
what?
like you're wasting your
We don't love these
breath,
what?
but just keep
Don't
leading
worry.
by example.
We don't love
It's
these
going
what?
to
Say
work.
You know
Kudos
the
to
way.
your dad.
I do,
And
but I want you to
kudos
say
to you
it.
for having the self-awareness to have realized this. Your dad sounds awesome. A true model of what dad
If you're bold
should
enough
do.
to think it, you're bold enough to say
Please
it.
don't hit me just to make yourself
You know
feel
I'm bold.
better. I still remember
What
you
you- why
forcing me
can't
to
you,
lower
though?
my hands
Why
to
can't
my
you?
waist so you can get clear shots in.
Oh, your siblings are
That's
here?
ducked. I'm sorry. The last time he did it, I refused to cry. When he was done, I told him it was the last time. I was getting bigger and stronger. 15 years old. He never physically abused me again. Please show up on time when you're supposed to pick us up from school, athletic practice, or a friend's house. It sucks being the last
come the
one
fuck
left,
on.
alone,
I
inconveniencing
have more
a friend's
time.
family or coach, and not knowing when you're coming. Please try not to watch
Excuse me?
things like the Howard Stern show around us. Please make more time for us, especially you. Dad, I know you worked hard, but working all of those
Sean are
second and
beefy.
part-time jobs so you could have your toys and hobbies meant that you were never around. And
Playboy,
when you were,
Playboy,
you were either
Playboy.
tired or working on your own interests. Please realize that I'm sitting so close to the television, squinting, have shitty handwriting, horrible physical coordination for sports, and bump myself a lot because I need glasses. Don't wait until the school nurse tells you when I'm in 3rd grade that I've needed glasses for years. Please don't share your workplace gossip at the dinner table. I don't need to know who's cheating with or whom where you work as an 8-year-old. And it makes me feel guilty and sad at the company Christmas party when I see these people with their husbands or wives. Please teach my brother how to cook and clean. Please teach me how to change my own oil, change spark plugs, fix things around the house, and know how to actually start the lawnmower. Please ask me if I want my entire room rearranged, including contents of drawers. And please ask me what's important or useful to me before throwing things away or donating them to charity when I'm at school. You're not doing me a favor. You're making me neurotic. Tell us you love us every day. Hug us more. God, I hope my daughter never writes this about me, especially the work thing. It would destroy me. Those last 2 hit home for me. My parents were the same way. If I was gone for more than a day, I'd come back to find my room torn apart. My dad sold my Hot Wheels collection. 90s cars, all in packaging. At least one was worth $300 to a collector, for pennies. Now I just don't keep stuff. The entirety of my belongings can fit into my small hatchback with room to spare, and I've long since moved out. Physical affection wasn't a thing, ever. Don't ducking hit me. And if you can't do that, then at least don't use large objects that leave scars. Thanks, Dad. Hey Mom and Dad. I'm not freaking out because I'm a dramatic teenage girl. I have hysterical meltdowns because I suffer from debilitating anxiety and don't yet have the maturity or experience to communicate my stress in logical and objective terms. Please take it easy on me. I punish myself for failure more than you ever could. I will remember the harsh things you say well into my 30s. Same issue, but with a painful twist. My youngest brother has anxiety,
that you
and
or
when
something?
my parents realized his stress levels weren't normal, boys aren't supposed to cry and spend all day in their room and have trouble breathing every time they think
About
of
being
an
an
upcoming
angsty teen.
test. They got him therapy and medication.
Wait,
My
what?
family still holds all of my mental breakdowns against me and firmly believe I was doing
only
it
been like
all
2
for
seconds.
attention because that's what teenage girls do. Not to mention that I was diagnosed at age 8, and that was honestly how they treated me, being sick in general vs my brothers. The boys were always as sick as they were saying, but I was exaggerating.
I guess.
They still wonder why I never come to visit anymore. I have a big extended family. One of my younger male cousins told his parents
I'm not ready for a
about his
conversation that I
struggles
agree
with
on you
mental
with.
health, and there was
Okay.
this huge outpouring of support and sympathy for him. My
Interesting.
mom would say how it must be so difficult
my
for
brother,
him.
you're
When
not
I
about to
tried to open up
graduate.
about my struggle with depression as a teenager, my mom rolled her eyes.
You sound like every
Leave
black
the science
crackhead
that
on
say
the
you're
corner.
depressed now. Is that what
No,
you're
no.
telling me? Then I cried and she said it was only cause I always had to get
Every
a big
fake
reaction
wolf.
out of people. Shit hurts. I'm so
See what
sorry
you-
they
I'm
wouldn't
about to
help
do
you
my-
like they did your brother.
Oh,
Capital
gold
X.
dust, my favorite Gen 4.
The hands
I'm
off.
just kidding. That's not my
They
favorite
say
Gen
fair
4, but it's
style
like my
of
favorite
parenting
Gen 4.
How do you get a
is
gold duck? That
fine,
means you
but give me
completed
some
the week.
boundaries and
You
teach
beat the
me
Elite
how to
Four.
set goals. Same. But I'd have to introduce them to me first.
What you not about to do, my
Hey,
nigga?
put the kid up
Just
for
perpetuate
adoption.
a false
You're a ducking
stereotype
psychopath
to
and
give
you're
them-
going to drive him to suicide. I was looking
should
for
beat the
that
game out
as
of me,
I
but
didn't
okay.
think I could be the only one. I escaped and have grown up to be happy. But I am
Are you
truly
happy now?
amazed I did. My brother killed himself though. I think the
I have
oldest in the
nothing.
family always has
I
it
just-
worst. And guess who the oldest is in
Damn.
mine? Surprise.
How you
I'm
feel?
jealous and glad for you. My
need
parents
a
were
hug or
a
something?
nightmare and left me deeply scarred.
I need more.
An abusive
Oh, God.
relationship completely broke me, and
Oh,
now
Lord.
I
Wait a
haven't
minute.
eaten in days
Wait
both
a
out of
minute.
depression
Oh,
and
Lord.
just can't afford it. I have 5 prescriptions, some of which I can't take. I can't
What do
sleep,
you think I
cry
meant
for
by
no
that?
reason.
I don't even want to
Didn't
know.
sleep last night because the
I don't
entire
even
night
wanna
I
know.
was thinking of ways to die.
I
Bro, that's
Also
so
mad
much, so
because I'd
annoying.
like to feel happy.
Which one?
But also that you were
Sulk.
able to turn things around.
Yes, sulk.
It's not easy and I'm a failure. Nice to
Everything
see
is.
someone has.
And if I did so much.
Do everything the opposite. I'd have told mine adoption is an option. They really bad no business
Bro, that is
raising
like a
kids.
fraction.
Had, not bad.
That
They
is
were bad
not
at
a
it,
lick
though.
of shit.
You're doing great. Don't worry. I turn out fine. I like this one. Reading all of these
I hate that
heartbreaking
so
comments
much.
about
That one
horrible
gave me so
parents
much trouble.
reminds me how thankful I am for mine. They weren't perfect, but I always felt loved and safe. Came to say this.
Get bodied.
I came here to learn how to be a better parent, and the comments started out funny but just slowly got more and more depressing as I scrolled down, and now I'm just sad and reflecting back onto when I would get loud towards my daughter because I was frustrated. She's only 3 years old, but I think reading these comments have me rethinking everything. It can be hard,
There's
man,
nothing to do anything.
especially when they don't listen. But try hard to put yourself in their shoes. They
I
don't
think-
understand your stresses because they can't yet. So instead try understanding their stresses and reassuring them it's okay to
I think
take
it's
that
time for me to
risk.
start.
Try
I don't
that
wanna
thing.
play it on
Do it
Fortnite.
themselves. And that you'll be
You're
there to
grinding.
cheer them on and cheer
How
them
much
up.
work?
Whatever they need.
I am not
Don't let their
grinding.
ignorance of your life and stress led to your ignorance of her life
Just
and
because you
stress.
grinded, don't make me
I
grind.
came here to say
Wait,
the
why
exact
is-
same thing.
Why is
I
random
definitely
Pokemon
have been
level
slacking
60?
as a single parent.
This other one level
I'd excuse it
57.
as too busy, but my kids always deserve
Could you
the
beat the
best
game
me
without me?
before anyone else, including
This thing
myself.
only goes to
Let us make a mental note to all
Not high
parents
level.
to be intentional with our little
Even the
humans
final
we're
bad
raising
guy
and
was not
being
high
kinder
level.
as we all want our children to be. Sending hugs to all parents and wanting to be better for them. Dad, we don't
What
need
the
more
actual?
milk.
We weren't
Nonsense.
aiming for the
Buys a
truck.
milk factory. Well, that just sounds like a cow with extra steps.
Dude, you had Jokic.
Don't raise me
Chill
how
out.
your father
Alright.
raised you.
Jokic helped you
Mom
more
and
than.
Dad, I'm
Yeah.
struggling
Okay, but you
with
played the
this
game
so
without
much
me, so I don't
because
wanna hear
my
it.
ADHD is
You don't have
ducking me.
any room. You don't have any room to talk. I'm
How
sorry.
did it
You don't have no
not
room
occur
to
to
talk.
either of my parents that my poor
You have no room to
overall
talk right
grades and my
now.
level of
You played the
intelligence
game
is
without
why
me.
I'm typing that, but apparently it's true. Don't adapt.
I
You're doing
don't.
better now.
Like
Anxiety
what?
is a thing that exists. Calling them oversensitive doesn't
You want
help.
me to name him right now?
Yeah, name
Don't
him.
ducking threaten to murder your children. Ever.
Oh.
Don't grab them by the throat, slam their head into the front door, and yell about killing them just because you had a bad ducking day.
Damn, you gotta think that
Don't
hard.
repeatedly forearm slap
I'm
your
not
kid
even
in the
thinking,
face
no.
because they made friends with other kids in the neighborhood and your racist ass couldn't deal with the fact that they were Mexican. Don't duck
You
and
did so
cheat on
much,
your
buddy.
wife.
Like-
Don't go to church and tell everyone
You played
they're a
Smash
happy.
without me?
Model
Because you don't like
family.
Smash.
Don't ignore
Next.
literally everything we say
Even
that
before I
doesn't
didn't like
align with
Smash.
what
You-
you
I
think
played it
is
all the
right.
time with you. What are you
Actually,
fucking talking about?
Strike all
Anyways,
that. I'd be
back to what I
typing
was
for hours if I went on a list like that.
No murder.
Instead,
No more
plant your seed
Alright.
and leave.
You,
We'd have been better off.
You
Dad.
play? Did you
Sorry.
play Breath of the Wild?
Hope things are better now.
No, I don't even have that game.
Stop getting
Next.
irrationally angry
Next.
at small children who
Next.
cry and sob. Mommy,
Okay.
when they're upset because it's the most
Oh, no, I wanna hear
word
this
they
bullshit.
have,
Job.
even
You
when
had- you
they've
had a
just
job
been
without-
spanked. Then don't
Okay, but
scream.
you was in the armory
You want
without
to
me,
cry?
so
I'll give you something to cry
Ah,
about.
you
And then
graduated
just
without
spank
me, so
them
it's
harder. All you've done is
you were
make
born
your
later.
children
I
afraid
mean,
of you.
yeah, later. So
I
So
hate
you were
that.
even
My
born
aunt
without
used to do that to my cousin when
Well,
she
so
thought
you
I
because
was
you
being
took so
physically
long for your
punished.
parents to
So
fuck.
you
That
hurt the
that's not my
child.
fault.
Only
Their
years
first
later.
instinct is to cry.
It's not my
So
fault
you
your
hit
parents
them
took
for
forever to fuck.
naturally
Okay.
reacting to the situation to teach them a lesson. The only lesson
How's that
you'll
my
teach
fault?
them is that they aren't allowed to show emotions.
Why could you say
I
it back or
wish they'd
something?
convinced me on why brushing
we
teeth
could've,
was so
like,
important.
If I was born like 5
I'd
days
bring back
different,
some articles about misophonia so they'd hopefully be more
I mean, I
understanding
guess.
of my visceral aversion to family dinner time. Imagine if parents understood misophonia. Maybe life would have been less of a living hell.
anyway.
Yet, my
What
father
else?
took it very personally when I said I didn't want to be at the
You made
dinner
friends
table
without
because
me?
the sounds of people eating
When did
made
I make
me
friends
ill.
without you?
It was not a good time.
Naive,
To
Maurice.
get
You don't want
divorced
Naeem as
way
a friend,
I
so
earlier.
next.
To get divorced.
I don't even like.
Please
I don't,
send me
I
to
don't really
therapy.
care for that person.
Teach
Exactly.
me how to speak
Too much
Spanish
K-pop.
so I'm
I'm gonna
bilingual.
be honest.
Stop feeding me
There's
shit
way
food.
too much K-pop.
All those
You keep
toys
sending
you're
me
about to
K-pop,
throw
but I
out
don't
of yard
like
sale,
watching it.
You don't. turns
I
out
would
they
watch it.
don't make them like they used to, and some of them are worth a fortune.
He's always like, what you think about this? What you think about this? What you
Spend
think
more
about
time
this?
talking and less time screaming
They
to
be
at me.
standing that stuff so hard.
Don't involve your kid in your arguments. I'm your child, not a soldier. Parenthood isn't boot camp. I feel you, comrade. I wish I could give you a hug.
Speaking of Naeem, Naeem's about to evolve now.
Feed me more. My friends should not have to provide me food so I don't starve.
He evolved
Argue
above
in
36,
private and not in
I think.
front of
Is it 36 or
me.
37?
As a kid,
It's
that
36.
really messes with you. I
I'm
try to
90%
teach them how
sure
to
it's
communicate
36.
their emotions better and how to manage relationships more equitably. I'd tell them to embrace my interests and find common ground rather than disengaging because I don't like football or art.
Who's screaming?
Just listen to the duck-eyeing psychiatrist and give me the antidepressant pills. I'm not lazy. I am depressed for the bullying. If y'all don't love each other, just go ahead and divorce now instead of raising your children on a foundation of falsehood.
To be honest.
Mom, you have a black child. Learn how to do kinky hair. Dad, don't wear
Bro,
that
I saw a
cologne.
video on that
All the
earlier
hot
today.
guys wear
And
it, and
people were
now
like,
I can't
I'm
make
so
out with them
happy
cause
for
they
her.
smell like
And then,
you.
like, I saw like
Also,
a comment that was like,
don't
it's her job.
raise me.
Wait, what? What
Yeah,
happened?
she adopted the lady. She had two
Dad,
adopted black
get
daughters,
over
right?
it.
Yeah.
Your parents were
And
complete
she was like,
a-holes to
she
you.
was like,
But
she
you
was like,
don't
their
have to
hair,
make
their
it a
crown,
family
yeah,
tradition.
Mom, and like they
you
each
got
take
to cut
different
back
amounts
on the
of time,
self-loathing
and
and
like
cigarettes.
y'all should learn how to
Lastly,
do the
you
hair.
need to set
and
up a
something,
nest
something,
egg.
something.
There's a movie
And then like
director named
the
George
original
Lucas,
tweet
and
said,
he's
I'm so
gonna
proud
make
of
a
this lady.
groundbreaking
And then the
movie.
retweet
Tell
said, it's
him.
her job.
No more. Do not let the princess kiss the farm boy. It is
be
too
honest.
ducking creepy. Get that writer's credit and sign
True,
for
but, like-
15% of the merchandise.
I mean, my mom doesn't know how to do hair,
Yes,
so.
your daughter will become a crazy beach. Send her to a convent or a Japanese fish processing
Neither
ship.
is mine.
You'll thank me later. Join our community Discord. Link in description. Maybe screaming and hitting your children
What
are
are y'all
effective
doing?
parenting techniques.
They're playing the game.
Get yourself to therapy and be less of an abusive duck. Mom, speak up for yourself. Don't ever joke or laugh about my frustrations or any negative feelings I experience.
Oh my god.
Try your best to listen, and you don't necessarily have to completely understand my situation. All I ask you is to listen when I try to explain to you what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling a certain way.
Despacito.
That way, I'm able to learn to communicate my feelings in a proper manner. I wished my parents taught me this. I tend to bottle things up until it reaches capacity. Like a bomb. It just
Oh, yeah.
blows up
The
regardless
reason I
of
won't
where,
call Kobe to get
when,
my rematches,
or who I'm with.
you sent me some
I hate
music.
that part of
You want me to
myself
listen
the
to it?
most,
I just
and
don't feel
I've
like
ruined
listening to
multiple
Is it his
I know you
music?
never asked it.
relationships for
Yes,
the same reason.
yeah.
I'm glad that my current boyfriend is patient and I've
Is it
changed
good?
a lot compared to the time before I
I'm
met
not gonna
him.
listen to it.
Lately,
I'm not gonna listen
I
to
have
it
been
until, like,
communicating a lot more about my feelings.
Watch that be the
properly.
next Billboard
Parents
Top
really
100
need to
song,
teach
and you're gonna be
children
so
emotional
mad.
management.
Remember
It
last
helps
time
so
you
much
heard
later
music?
in life.
Okay.
Don't adopt me.
We don't talk
and
about that
abuse
time,
and
okay?
neglect me. 18 years of damage has left a hell of a lot of problems for me to deal with.
I don't wait. I'm gonna wait.
They wouldn't
until, like,
listen
I'm
to
in
me
an okay mood,
regardless.
and I'm gonna listen to it.
For
And
duck's
if I don't
sake,
like
stop
it, I'm
hitting
gonna
us all the time.
When are you ever?
Drink less and occasionally give a shit.
when he actually produces
Don't
some
just
heat.
say it is what it is. Adhere
He
to it
hyped
and
it up
don't
too when he
ask
talked about it.
questions.
He's like, Jermo, I got some
Instead,
heat.
explain to
I
me
got
why
some
it
heat.
is the
I'm
way
like-
it is when I ask about
I'm like,
it.
okay.
If I find a rule.
I mean, he learning,
law,
okay?
Or moral standard ludicrous.
He needs your support. You're
explain
his
to me
friend,
why
right?
it
You're
is
his
the
When you
way
friend.
dropped
it
out of
is.
college,
Converse
you dropped
with me
out of
about
college
it.
to
Don't just pass
pursue
it off
this.
as
I
unquestionable.
He did?
because it's a
When you say
societal
he-
standard or
I'm
legally
expecting
enforced
some heat.
regulation. There's
He
value in
did?
discussing things.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think your
Are you
child
serious?
would understand it.
I'm dead.
Explain it anyway.
Oh lord.
That's better than raising them
Actually,
to be a sheep that
on
just
second
follows
thought-
protocol with no
I
questions
thought you was
asked.
joking.
You're creating a corporate slave when you
You
do
thought we were
that,
joking.
not a leader. It's important to know why things are the way
So what is
they
he
are in
doing?
the world, so we
Music.
can form
He doesn't have a
opinions on
job
them to
because he
make
has, like,
change
a
if it's
bloodline
ever
disease,
needed.
but he's gonna get a job, I think.
Don't
Wait, has a
belittle our
disease?
problems or
What?
feelings just
Yeah.
because
He has, like,
our
a bloodline
childhood
disease.
wasn't as violent or
So it's
depressing
like-
as yours.
could be passed
then you
down.
won't have to wonder why your
It can be
kids
passed-
can't
it's
talk
passed
to
down
you.
to the family.
Don't send
Yikes.
us to the
Passed through the
store for
bloodline.
cigarettes. The last
There's
2
two
years
parts
wouldn't
to it,
be
but
the
yeah.
nightmare they have been.
Yeah, he has that. He
Especially
gets
for you.
disability check. That's not
Dad,
like he pays
ease up on
special
your
law.
parental
He's
control.
always ordering
Especially
movies
once me
and
and
stuff.
my siblings reach age
No.
18. We weren't
Which I'm telling-
bad
I told him to
kids,
save his
and
money,
we
but,
didn't
like, I'm
need
pretty
you
sure
to
he
beg
How the
down
fuck
us
was this
every
faster
time
than
we make
me?
a minor mistake. If you have an expectation,
You're a
you have
candle.
to voice IT. Your kids are not
Nigga, I was just
are
ahead of the other
resentful your
one.
suddenly vocal
You might wanna
disappointment
start
because
training
what
your
you
own.
expected
I'm
they
not-
didn't
I'm
come
not
to fruition.
grinding.
If we don't know
Please.
your expectations, how
You
are we
might have to
supposed to
grind.
meet
You
them?
grind
I don't have to
yourself,
grind.
Off-track
I know
betting
for a
sites are
fact
no
you grind
place for
yourself.
kids.
I know for a fact.
I did not
Elsa,
grind in
don't
Sword Shield.
fight and scream, I get scared.
Okay, chill.
I
Give
just
me
fought
the
all the
duck
battles
out
I
of
was
the
supposed to and I was
projects.
Gucci.
Get me the duck out of Cleveland public schools in the 70s and 80s. Just don't honestly. You both suck at this. Dad, you were never proud of me or my brother. Impressing you seemed like a full-time job. So then you call me a rebel when I
They ain't do
decide
shit,
I'm not
yo.
gonna work my ass off
I am
for
gonna struggle in
someone
this
for
gym,
whom
to
my
be
best
honest.
was never good enough. You
thought
focused on
Joltik
what
was
I
supposed to
didn't
smash
do
it.
instead of
Joltik-
Smash the
you
ice
never
jam.
asked
I'm trying
what
to
I
remember.
wanted. You never gave
Oh,
a damn.
fighting.
Mom,
Fighting's not
you're
nice,
selfish
yeah.
and can't think for yourself, so you just
What the
listen to
f-
whatever
oh yeah,
dad
he's like
says.
part five.
So I
I mean,
basically
bruh.
have two dads. You're barely a parent.
You're not fighting.
I would encourage my dad to value spending quality time with each of my siblings, but particularly with his son, me, instead of spending that time doing household chores. Also, just to be emotionally available to your children.
I
We
think
are the
he's gonna
same
kill
dad.
Litwick.
Don't beat me PLS and
Probably.
invest in
Gonna
Bitcoin.
use an ice beam.
Oh, never mind.
Talk to me. I let them know about depression and how to take care of someone who has it. They treated me well growing up, but I'd be at a loss too if I wasn't fully educated on mental illnesses. Push me more. Pay attention to my schoolwork. Invest in my education. Don't let me figure
Actually,
things
this
out
was
on
last
my
half
own
bad.
while you do your own thing. Put me on ad medication PLZ. I think my parents did a fairly good job raising me, but much of my middle years, 10-15, was spent watching my parents spend tens of thousands of dollars on my older brother in order for him to pursue his dream of racing motocross. To his credit, he was pretty damn good at it too, but I never got even a fraction of the financial support he got. Sometimes even things of
I have so
mine
many
were sold
games,
off
though.
in order to pay for parts for his bike. I had a
Okay,
go-kart that they sold
Joltik is
instead
evolving
of
now.
repairing it to get
Heart
parts for
goes
his
to
bike,
zero.
and I got nothing to replace
Joltik's
it. First thing I
evolving.
told them is to not pour so
Sorry.
much money into my brother after he graduated high school. He was 5 years older than me, so he graduated when I was 13. Because it just made him into an entitled sponge that's still draining them financially, and he's almost 32 now.
I wanna play.
The
What is
second
Black
thing
and
I
White
tell
2?
them is to no drag
It's
me
basically
to
the
watch him
same
chase his
thing,
dreams every
except
single weekend
Team,
from late spring to
Plasma,
late fall and even into
like,
the winter when he started
broke up.
ice racing. It was okay every once in a while to go,
How
but
did
I
they
never had
make-
an option. And once
Because
my mom picked
there's a
up
secret,
photography, I
there's like
ended up
another
spending
form of
literally
Team
entire
Plasma that
weekends
are
just
secretly
roasting in the
together
sun,
and trying to
listening
like
to my
corrupt the world
iPod
and shit.
alone while my
Are you
brother
talking
would
about
be
the
busy
7
racing
stages?
or working
Yes,
on his
all that
bike, and my
bullshit.
mom would be on the track
Those
taking
losers
pictures.
that they were looking
I
for?
hated
Yes,
being
the
there, and this
losers.
was my mom's idea of spending time with her boys. If they would have just let me stay home and play video games
Ah,
or
that
have a
means-
friend
what- are
over,
they the same-
they were
they're
forced
the
to
same
come
stars,
with too,
probably.
so nobody would come with more than once or twice. While they
You-
went out,
you
I
also
probably
got
wouldn't
your
be carrying
third
this
person,
bitterness
like,
with me
you
at
see your
26.
whole body
I've told
from
her how
your
I
view,
felt,
or do
but it was
you
long
see
after the
reviews from
fact
your
and
view from your
changed
eyesight?
nothing.
From my
Tell
eyesight.
them to feed me better and learn to
Why?
say no. I was the fat
I
kid
see the
until
whole
after
body.
high school. My
You
mom
see
didn't know
yourself
how to
in the
say no
memory?
to
That's
me.
weird.
Both me and my sibling had childhood obesity. It took a lot of work, but I eventually lost the weight. I do still struggle with it now as an adult, but I'm no longer fat. Really wish she instilled better eating habits in me as a kid. Would have saved me a lot of bullying. Sign me up for lifelong martial arts. Keep me involved in
make me a
after school
costume girl.
activities. Support my educational
No one's playing
decisions
with you.
instead of handicapping me. I'd be a physician right now. I would tell them to leave me alone more. Let me pursue my interests instead of worrying about my place in the cool kids social hierarchy, and take fewer financial risks. Send me to Europe and make anyone adopt me there. Yes, raise me Swiss an option, because that would have been pretty dope looking back. Please spend more time with me. You'll be gone way too soon.
Oh, I did have
Maybe
a
that'll also help my self-esteem issues. Consequences for mistakes are a side effect. You don't need to add more punishments on top of that. When I start showing signs of taking about depression, listen to me because it's serious. Don't have kids. Dad doesn't actually want them. Give her some freedom. Controlling everything and not letting her figure out some shit herself will hurt her and your relationship in the long run. She will stop talking about important things to you, and she will lie to you if you don't stop. You guys won't ever be really close if you don't let her breath. Dad, stop
Let her
banging
breath.
chicks that are not my mom. Get divorced now or keep your dong in your pants. Please just respect that I'm a human being with emotions too. Abuse is not discipline and will destroy me for the rest of my life. There's a difference between yelling at a kid and simply being disrespectful. Slut shaming your kid for the smallest things will affect them. And for God's ducking sake, if you're fighting, please don't do it in front of your children. The anxiety that your child gets and feels follows them day by day. You're mature enough to argue
This
quietly in
Carragno is
another
actually
room.
just being
Please
camping right
don't
now.
forget to think of how you act, as your demeanor and actions will be the reflection of the people your children will let into their lives. Take our feelings into consideration. I never really had a how the real world works talk and was still pretty
Oh,
naive
what?
as a young adult. Having that talk with my kids fairly young would be good. Well before they're in their teenage stage so they would understand the basics of money, friends, interests, greed, power. Don't let me watch so much TV. I may enjoy it, and it may make me quiet while you need to focus on grading papers or being an adult. But my perception of how life is supposed to work is getting seriously warped by the stories I'm seeing. How to relate to women. How to plan for long projects. Montages are real. How to like
That you wanna play
myself
without
as
me?
an
Okay.
introvert when most main characters are extroverts. There's a lot you didn't take the time to teach me and it shows.
No, I did because you always picking
Hey
some.
Mom, tell me that you love me. Hug me
League of
more.
Legends is
I need
understandable,
physical
but other games
contact.
actually kinda
Don't
fun.
yell at me when I tell you I did something wrong.
Cause you be
I
you be
worked hard
picking
to find
some
the courage
weird
to tell you the
shit.
truth.
Bro, you were
That's
having
how
fun,
I
and then you
started
just
telling
you're
lies
like,
to you.
you're like, I don't like
That's
grinding,
why I'm
I don't
always
quit.
scared
I don't
to
like
tell you the
grinding.
truth
Exactly
even
what
if I
happened.
didn't
That's
do something
exactly what
wrong. But I believe it will disappoint you. Be patient.
I've had my
I know
password.
kids are annoying sometimes, but it was your choice to have 3.
That's
Don't
for the
always
best.
act like you're annoyed by all we do. Now I think everyone thinks I'm annoying.
I love games
Teach
like
me
that.
that making mistakes is okay. The important thing is
I don't see
learning
why you
from
play
them.
Minecraft.
Hey
Minecraft is
Dad,
kind of grinding.
I know you need
I
to
play
work,
Minecraft
but
already.
Mom didn't make 3 children on
I
her
don't see
own.
why you. I
Be
don't
more
see how you
interested
play
in
it.
what
That's
happens in
definitely a
our
grinding game.
lives. When I tell you the same thing 5 times I feel
That
like
because
you
I'm playing
don't
with
care.
someone.
As long as I
Unless
have
you
my
buy
good
an
grades
account.
in school all is good. But do you know that my life is not only school? You don't
Still
know
grinding.
everything
Grinding
just
is
because
grinding.
you're
You're
older
playing the
than
other
me.
game with
If
me,
you don't
you
know
still say
something,
grinding.
it doesn't mean that it isn't true. I'm in university. I've studied
I
for
bet the other
years.
person was
In
like,
my
oh,
field,
like-
I know more things than
Excuse me?
you. Don't tell me
I
the
bet the other
purpose of
person- I
life
bet the
is
person
having a
you played with,
family.
like,
Wife, husband, and children.
What do you mean what
Like,
the other
I
person
tell
I
you
played
that
with?
I don't want kids is because I'm
The
scared
person-
I
the
will
person
make
you
the
played,
same
the-
mistakes you and
the-
Mom
never
did.
mind.
They may seem
Play
small
what?
mistakes,
Say
I know,
it.
but
they
they
really
affected me a
accepted
lot.
honesty.
Say
Please
it.
look into my learning and
I'm not gonna use
behavioral
your
issues
password.
earlier so I don't
What do you mean
struggle
you'll
through all
text it to me?
obstacles. Mom,
I think
you
we're
did the
talking about,
right
like-
thing in leaving. You wanted to be young and not have the responsibility of children. And I don't blame you for leaving Dad. He was a very angry person. Just do it
I'll be
sooner.
honest.
Leave us with Dad. Don't try to sue for custody. You will only give up halfway down and choose drugs over us. Don't spend my childhood calling once every few years because you miss us and you are our mom. It only hurts us more. Just stay away. Date your pedophile boyfriend. And don't contact me as an adult. Make your decision and live with it. And keep your mom and niece out of it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.
You're evolving.
Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/ask Reddit by Planet Reddit. What common myth can be disproved in seconds? Anything by 5-Minute Crafts. Check out how to cook that on YouTube. Have you seen the video where they seem to have found the person behind 5-Minute Crafts?
I'm
Just
evolving.
shows that YouTube doesn't care about its users at all. Edit. Accidentally wrote 3 minutes crafts. We can only taste certain tastes on specific parts of our tongue. Just put something sour on different
I
parts
think
of your
Pokemon
tongue.
Spirit
You will
evolved
always
and-
be able to taste it.
No.
Check.
That's
Common.
weird.
Check.
Mel,
Easily
you're
disproved
evolving.
within seconds. Assuming
You're
you have
evolving.
something sour on
Watching
you.
the screen.
Check.
Oh.
My god, people. He's done it. He's actually answered a question. Number 3 is moot. Even if it takes you a week to disprove something, that's just 604,800 seconds. Still counts. If you enter a
seismic
pin backwards
total.
at an ATM, it
said
summons
what?
the police. My
Fat.
pin is a palindrome. Edit.
He's so
Everybody in this thread
thick.
is assuming that my pin is only 4 digits long. My pin is much longer than that. I love my credit
Even has a
union.
move called
They
round.
let me choose the length of my pin. It's 8008, isn't it? I gotta change my pin. People say the water in pools turns red if you pee in. You can prove the opposite within seconds. Even if it did, your total amount of pee is hardly enough to even show up visibly in a pool. And even more importantly, if this invention did exist, no pool owner would ever use it. They'd literally have to drain the pool all the damn time if that was the case. That would be so expensive. In addition to that, chlorine kinda dissolves all the pee. That you can
How would
buy
you
by
know?
holding
No
your
indication.
breath.
How
You're only gonna pass
you
out
pee in
and
the pool a
begin
lot?
breathing again. Edit.
Like
For
twice?
everyone trying to get technical, you really don't
I feel like-
think you
I
can
feel like
pass
you
out
did
in
that
seconds
way
by
more than
holding your
twice.
breath. If you hold your breath hard
Why are you
enough
trying
with
to
enough
expose me?
pressure, you definitely
I'm just
Why?
curious. I'm
Not if you
curious.
hit your head when you pass out.
I'm not gonna give you. I'm not gonna give you the answer
That
Why?
Redditors understand
that's
what
fine.
this proved and in seconds
I'm just saying I'm
means.
skeptical,
Or
so.
myth.
I'll nothing to you. I
Mom
don't.
does not have eyes on the back of
I feel like
her
people
head.
pee in the pool
You
more
can
often
tell
than
by
they say
jumping
they
on
do.
her back and pushing up
I mean-
her hair.
I mean,
Or just
yeah.
swing a bat at the back of her head.
Probably true.
If she does,
Why would they
maybe
admit
she
it?
has eyes. If
Exactly.
she
Why would you
doesn't,
admit it? You have no
well,
reason to admit
there's
it.
your answer. Tried it. Guys,
But
my mom
I
is
you
on the
know-
phone. What's wrong, she isn't
But
okay.
you know how often you
That
pee in
blood
the
is
pool.
blue
I
before
hope
it
you know
Deep
gets
that.
down.
oxygen.
Deep down.
This is my most hated
Just
myth.
be
There
aware.
are so many obvious ways to disprove
older I
it.
grew up, the
Most
less I
prominently
did.
being the fact that one of the
I didn't go to
purposes
pool
of
that
blood
many
is to
times.
carry oxygen around the body.
So like every time I
So
went to the
you're
pool,
saying we have
probably
never
like
seen
once.
blue blood because it always
or
carries
twice.
oxygen. Thinking
And I
face.
haven't went- I did
Thinking
go to the pool
face. Thinking face. Microwaves heat
You
from the
know.
inside
So, like,
out. Get
so,
anything
yeah, I don't really-
microwavable.
I-
Put it in for
so,
30
like, it really
seconds.
doesn't really
Note the
matter.
scalding hot outer layer
I'm
is
not
still
into it.
frozen center. False.
I have class.
Microwaves are
You have
actually
class.
sentient beings and do
I have
this to
class.
Alright, I'ma
assert
take
their
you swimming.
dominance.
Okay.
Hurling
I'll
a
make sure
fire
there's no
alarm
part
does
of that
not.
day.
Excuse
in
me?
fact, activate the
What?
sprinkler
So you just
system
on
in
the
most
hack?
scenarios.
Yeah.
Certainly not indoors.
I'm a drought.
At your school, your home, or any indoor commercial establishment. And you can prove it
How
by
the fucking
putting
fire
the
type gets
alarm.
fucking okay.
This sounds like a trap. Men
That
think
makes
about
no
sex
sense
every 8
whatsoever.
seconds.
Fire type got
I hadn't
crazy.
thought about it all morning until just now. Edit. Man.
Oh my god, I sent him
You
out by
guys
accident.
talk a
So
lot,
useless.
and
I
I
basically
thought
went
I
through the
was
whole
bad.
game with 5 Pokemon.
Men think about sex every 8
Who was
seconds.
useless?
Fact actually just statistical error. Men think about sex twice a day on average.
But true.
Sigmund Freud,
It's
Where
Miss
who
Sharna.
lives in Vienna and thinks
I don't
about
care
sex
what happened.
487
I told you to get a read Nicholas, but you wouldn't
times
listen. You
per
was like,
second
oh, is it the
is
same
allowed,
thing?
but should not have been counted. This
Search it
made
up.
me laugh so hard. I study psychology and Sigmund Freud always seemed like a sexually frustrated pervert to me. A myth is a female moth. Funny man.
You're
here.
gonna go.
Another
Okay,
reason
type in
is a provable
solosis.
myth. That KFC
You should
is
know the
no
wrong-
longer allowed to use the word
No,
chicken
type in
because of
solosis.
some government mandate.
Oh, you're talking
If you
about
go
that
to their
jelly thing,
website,
Yes,
the word
yes.
chicken is everywhere. Oddly
You're being
specific
real
but
quick.
easily
Alright.
proven.
Let me
Well,
do
hey,
it.
you don't even have to go to the website. I can't think of 4 things they sell instantly with the name chicken in it. Popcorn chicken, original recipe chicken and chicken
Original
tenders
recipe.
and chicken meat pie. In Australia, that is. People of Reddit, please infer the intent of the question. It was not what can you Google in seconds, because that is literally everything. What can you standing face to face with someone prove wrong in seconds, without the use of Google, Edit, or Bing? Judging by how many answers to questions like doctors of Reddit, and cardboard box factory workers of Reddit, start with not a doctor/cardboard box factory worker, but I'd say that complaining that people aren't doing it right is almost as useless as me writing this rebuttal. The Earth is flat. But, they say that the footage is from satellites orbiting the Earth.
12
The
inches
state
is
that also says we went to the moon. Why do you believe in footage put out by NASA government scientists? Did you know that if you translate NASA into Hebrew you get insert meaningless word? How can water curve? LOL. Have you ever seen a river that curves? LOL. Water is flat. That's common sense. Dr. Buttbug, who is a former oncology doctor, don't ask me why it's former LOL, says that it's flat. But you only believe in mainstream government scientists because they have a degree from the state. Can someone please shoot me? I've heard too much. You can prove the earth is round with a ruler and a shovel. A Greek guy did it over 2,000 years ago and he predicted the size of the earth pretty accurately too. Edit. I got the story wrong. Turns out you only need a stick and a ruler. Masturbating makes you blind. Can be disproved in seconds. Poor OP.
So what?
Shaving hair does not make it grow back thicker or darker. If it did, every adult man would be walking around with black tree trunk thick hairs on their face. Edit. I don't understand why I'm getting so many replies asking how to disprove this in seconds. Your eyes. Look at people. Should be pretty easy to find one. On the Google works too. Just literally look at any person who has ever shaved. Do any of them have giant thick black branches of hair growing out of their face, legs, back, or top of their damn head? No? Then boom, proved in 5 seconds or less. I think the failure people have with that one is, you probably haven't finished maturing when you first start shaving. It is coincidence that you will have more hair on your face at 25 instead of 18. First time I've personally seen someone state this connection. Time. Folks, the answer is almost always the passage of time. Shaving, time. Dubious new cure.
I need a flying type.
The one common variable for everything, time. Some sick people put drugs in children's bag every Halloween. Literally no. Even if they are, it's for them. No one would give away hundreds of dollars worth drugs for free. And when you disprove that myth by saying this the answer, what if he's rich enough to not care? And even if he's not rich you might never know. There's some sick people out there ! 11. And at this point it isn't worth arguing anymore. Join our community Discord, link in description. Vaginas get loose from sex. The variant I find most confusing is vaginas get loose from sex with different partners, as if the issue was somehow not the total amount of sex had forming the vagina, but the number of different people, and I suppose differently shaped penises. Your vagina won't get loose if you have a long-term monogamous relationship with a vigorous, post-marital, sex life. But God forbid you have a couple of non-committal one-night stands when you're still single. Whether they know it or not, guys who think this are actually saying that they have a smaller PP than everyone else. That's not how vaginas work either, but we can't expect them to know that. That stupid thing about different regions of your tongue tasting different things. I remember when I was first taught this at school, so I immediately got something salty. It was salt, if memory serves, and put it on the back of my tongue. Far away from the salt zone, I could still taste it. The persistence of this myth is baffling to me. It's so easy to disprove, and surely most kids, upon learning this little fact, would immediately grab something salty or sweet in order to try it out. Edit. This article contains an example of the kind of map I'm talking about. For those that aren't familiar, as per the article, this was disproved in the early 21st century.
I don't know if gym battles will go differently.
Disprovable myths, but not in seconds. Googling and using your brain is suddenly the equivalent to scientific proofs now. Einstein apparently wasted a lot of his time considering he only needed to write "it's obvious" on his thesis. The Welsh shag sheep. I am Welsh. Never shagged a sheep. Myth busted, unlike my nut. Never shagged a sheep. Yet. Allegedly. You should have stipulated the question to be something you can actually prove on your own in seconds. Not something a Google search can confirm in seconds. That if you get jizz in your eye you go blind. Can confirm. This is a myth. If you can prove that in seconds,
6 inches
I feel bad for your sexual partners. Just go to the fridge and get the cum jar. That essential oils cure sickness. I've tried using them to help me focus before, and not even that worked. People seriously don't understand history anymore. People literally quarantined in the past to stop the spread of sickness, and made medicine from stuff that isn't an oil. Edit. For all of you telling me
what
to
is this whole thing about
seconds, I'm going to poison a person with peppermint oil. Do you know what we call alternative medicine that works?
What is that? What is that?
This and essential oils can kill your pets.
It's injected by
I had a big
what?
argument with an essential oils Karen on Facebook. She called me a ducking idiot because she uses a diffuser that sprays out the essential oils. When I asked if she lets it spray near your cat, he said, the little shit puts his face in it.
My money.
She was using lavender in particular, which will absolutely
I'm about to
kill
go get
your
injected.
cats. Also, if you call your cats little shit or stupid for going near your essential oils, you are, in fact, the big shit and should never own a cat or dog. Edit. Yes, lavender plants can cause upset stomachs, but it can cause liver failure in other forms like essential oils. There are lots of other plants like lilies that can cause kidney failure. They can't pee and eventually die when they completely shut down. In cats. I tried to explain this others here and they downvoted me despite me sharing sources. I've deleted those comments because it's not worth leaving up. Almost none of you can disprove your posts in seconds. You all stopped reading at Common Myth and some have skipped Common. Punch a shark in the nose, it'll leave you alone. As you slowly move you'll just tap its nose. Then you lose yours. It won't always stop it, but gouging its eyes out and hurting its Jacob's senses or whatever they're called is about the best thing you can do other than pray for survival. Hold on. Let me just find my shark that I have sitting around so I can disprove this in seconds. That Redditors aren't idiots proof. Read the answers to this post. 5G causes a virus. It doesn't. Agree, but how do you prove it in seconds?
Whoever started that should be shot.
The moon landing's pictures show all shadows in said pictures, produced by the sun's light, as parallel. That is, all shadows have the same exact angle and intensity. Only the sun can make parallel shadows from that distance and radiance for way back in 1969. Edit. Point is, moon pictures cannot be accurately replicated without shadows looking off. Back in 1969. We can still carbon date those pictures, probably sitting somewhere in a museum, to prove the photos are aged 51 years and therefore authentic. Nowadays, way easier to falsify using photo editing software, but they'd still be new pictures. Not all shadows, at least not visually. Mythbusters did a great episode on it though and demonstrated that the shadows that appear to not be parallel are actually caused by bumps and dips in the ground creating optical illusions. Very nitpicky I know, but it's technically not accurate to say that the pictures show all the shadows as parallel. That camels have water in their humps. It would be a very messy 5 seconds to prove this one. Chewing gum wraps around you hard when you swallow it, but I wouldn't dare to swallow it. No one says this. They say it stays in your belly for 27 years or something.
Inches.
Your pets are not vegans. Mine is. She's a rabbit. Vampires can be killed by exposure to sunlight. As a Sulis ginger, I imagine we're closely related to vampires. I can confirm that sunlight doesn't kill us. It's simply horrible, annoying and painful. You can slowly boil a frog. If it's dead you can. If it's alive then it will boing out and make angry croakings at you. That water only goes down a plugged hole a certain way in your hemisphere. Unlike others in this thread like the world is flat and the hair growing comment, it can actually be disproven in seconds.
If you boil it,
just go to a sink near you and try it. Chances are it will go down the same direction every time, but that's because of the shape of your basin. Not the present but infinitesimally minute force of the Earth's spin. If you're not convinced, try on a range of different sinks. Or try gently pushing it the other way at the start. The Simpsons episode where Bart does this and the myth works always.
Why send me pictures about
Thanks
people drawing butts?
Subscribe for 3 videos a day. Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/ask Reddit by Planet Reddit.
Say what?
Teachers of Reddit. What clicked about a pupil after meeting their parents?
No.
Obligatory, not a teacher, but I work at a psychiatric hospital for children and teens. I work directly with the kids so I don't get to meet parents often. We had a super sweet little girl on my unit once. They said it was because she assaulted her little 3-year-old sister. But the whole thing just didn't make sense. I can read kids well, and usually the ones that are violent and dangerous to family have a certain attitude.
Please stand
She
up.
just didn't.
Please stand.
She was meek, respectful, and just
Who
overall
us?
the easiest
Who are you?
patient
Who are
I'd
we?
ever had.
We are that
When
bitch.
visitation came, her parents showed up and it all started to make sense. They would just berate
Okay, I'm
her
streaming
for everything.
Pokemon
Here
XD
is this
tomorrow.
little 9-year-old girl and her mom is telling her she's ducked up. Why can't she be normal? etc, etc. And this kid just took it. Not for long though, because I am allowed to remove the child at my discretion if I think it will make it worse for her, and so I did. And promptly called CPS. It turns out that all the abuse she was doing to her sister was just the mother abusing both of them and then blaming it on the little girl. You'll all be happy to know that she was moved in with her grandparents in a different state and is thriving and happy. Edit. Thank you for the gold, y'all. That ending made me happy. Duck that girl's mother though. Edit. Guys, let's stop making the same joke. Also, kudos to CPS for stepping in like that. My friend was abused by her parents, and when she fractured her arm, CPS was called by the school. They told the parents not to leave visible marks, then never came back. It was pretty ducked up. What the hell? Child Protective Services gave the parents advice for not getting caught abusing their children? That makes me so angry. I notice quite a few negative stories here. Well, here is a positive one where it clicked. I have a student who is really friendly, really smart, and amazing at English. I am an ESL teacher abroad. She is always really friendly to me and always really hardworking. She constantly helps other kids in class who struggle with the material, and overall just a great girl. I met her dad once at a school event, and holy goodness, was this guy awesome. He was a really genuine and generous character, and even invited me to get to know different parts of the city with his family. I could definitely tell they had a close bond and that he had raised her really well. Just an example of good people raising other good people. Edit. A word. I've had a few like that. One kid. Sweetest kid alive. He was like what you imagine an actual 4th grader to be like. He was pretty much like a curious puppy. Flip side. He had a solid 13% in the class. He just couldn't figure out how to put two numbers together. I actually cried when he learned to cross multiply and see the wheels turn in his head. Thing is, compared to a lot of kids, he had lots of reasons to act out and be violent and could be a jokester with friends. He could lash out but never did compared to other classmates. Met his parents. Literal salt of the earth types. Dad was older and kinda had that old spun country wisdom to him. Told me that they've been trying hard with him but he just seems to not click right. Like read 8 hours a day with him and nothing coming right. What I also noticed is that they were patient as all living hell. And so was he. I wish we had on behavioral special ed because he needed it bad. Still got him to cross multiply. These are the kind of people that we should be investing in as much as possible because they are probably more likely to use their success in life compassionately. Oh, for sure. I got him to talk about dogs once and he just opened up like mad. It was adorable and I knew that if he could just get something working, he would do something good with his life, which coming out of where he lived, would be a huge success.
Damn.
My 5th grade teacher said she understood why at times I couldn't finish my homework or fall asleep in class after seeing my mother had cancer. I'm sure before that she thought I was lazy. She became super close with my mom after, and the day my mom passed away, still in 5th grade, she cried in class when they messaged her, and that's how I knew it was over. I personally believe teachers make a huge impact in a child's life, and she really helped me out and understood. I'm very thankful that you had her as a teacher during that time. I can't even begin to fathom the pain you went through then. I'm so thankful for these stories of teachers who actually care. I know it's been a while, but I'm sorry for your loss. He's actually in 6th grade now. It's not been that long. Yet, I love hearing about teachers who actually care about how their students are doing. I have had a few teachers who always assume all kids are a-holes and they don't care if we failed or not. Those classes are the ones I did the worst in. I feel it's really important to make the kid feel like they matter. They will probably enjoy coming to your class and want to succeed. I want to be a teacher in the future, and this is a value I will carry to my classroom. This is from back when I was doing my student teaching. There was a girl in one of my classes that never did any work in class, turned in her homework late, and would ignore huge projects until literally the last minute, and then asked to come and for help every day at lunch after school to make up for the missing work. Eventually I caught her cheating on a quiz. She had written down the answers, put them in the plastic cover of her binder, and put her binder down by her feet. I took her quiz, gave her a 0, and told her that cheating wasn't allowed. About a week later, we had parent-teacher conferences. The girl came with her mother, who took out every assignment that had been graded and handed back, and proceeded to argue with me over individual points. Things along the lines of, well, she spelled it all right, so that deserves some credit, right? Or she circled the right answer, so she should still get some credit, when that right answer had been crossed off and then another answer had been selected. This took nearly an hour to go through. Finally, the mother brought up the quiz, and I told her about the cheating. The mom said, well, you should give her some credit on it. She was pretty clever to think of that trick. From then on, I made sure to schedule meetings with myself, my mentor teacher, and the principal present. Jesus, does that mom think that it's smart to cheat everything in life too? Cheaters never prosper is bullshit. Bad cheaters never prosper. Good cheaters prosper all the ducking time. There is probably nothing else that will allow someone to succeed in life more than a willingness to break the rules when there is low risk and high reward for doing so. Lying on your resume that you have a PhD from MIT when you never even went to MIT, much less got a PhD, will get your ass caught. Lying on your resume by exaggerating your accomplishments, but only on things that can't realistically be checked, will get you a better job. Obviously it's not like serious life stuff, but I've always found this sort of said something about people. I would make food deliveries to a water park and we'd go through back gates and such to enter. Often when we'd come through the gate, there would be families trying to use the employee entrances to get to their car. I know it wasn't a big deal because they were leaving, not breaking in. But it just irks me partly because I know my family is the same way. I know they're not supposed to do that. But there's no risk involved, so duck it, right? And as employees we just ignored the people because $9 HR is not enough to get cursed out by a drunk smelly overweight dude and his family. This girl in prep already showed traits of a narcissist sociopath. She was an extremely clever but lacked empathy, manipulative, blatantly lied, stole and so on.
I can relate to that.
Yes, this might just sound like characteristics of any child, but there was definitely something different about her. Anyway, met her mum who refused to accept that her child would do anything wrong. And when the child admitted she stole a girl's bracelet because she wanted it, her mum said that's okay, we can go buy you one on the way home. Does she want to raise a sociopath? Because that's how you raise a sociopath. Can you raise someone to become a sociopath? Is that possible? Genuinely asking. There's no definitive genetic evidence yet, so the nature versus nurture debate is still ongoing. There are physical aspects in brain function and structure that are present in sociopaths, but upbringing also has a large impact on sociopathy or sociopathic behaviors, now called antisocial personality disorder. I was telling the parent that their child was generally inattentive. He would look around, fidget, and just nod along smiling when I knew he hadn't been listening. As I was consulting my notes, I looked up to see the parent looking around the room, bouncing their leg. As soon as they realized that I was done talking, they nodded and smiled. Edit. This child did not have ADHD or autism. He just had a short attention span. I was teaching in a private school in the Middle East, and although most students should have been ESL, they were taught English at a higher level. I figure he just didn't care that much. They say there is a genetic component to ADD. 71% heritable. To bring that into context, height is 81% heritable. MMHMM. Smiling face. College freshman was constantly late. Didn't turn work in on time or at all, etc. She had an excuse for every single thing. I wasn't even asking. She just volunteered excuses. After getting a D in my class, which was frankly a bit generous as her actual grade was a high F, her mother called me. I wasn't allowed to discuss a student's performance with anyone, including their parents, and I told her as much. Her mother then, unprompted, gave me a long string of excuses for her daughter and, oddly, herself. I kind of thought, oh, that makes sense now. Her mother called me, and her kid is at college university level? WTF. It's more common than you think, unfortunately. I think college professors are the ones who pushed for that rule of not sharing grades, and I don't blame them. Edit. Learned about FERPA. Sounds like a pretty solid piece of legislation. It's not so much a rule as a federal privacy law. Join our community Discord. Link in description. Kids named Rowdy.
Oh my fucking god,
Super
yo.
nice kindergartner. Wondered why the hell his name was Rowdy. Met his mom. Dad was Mia. Lived with grandma. In a hoarder house, and they smoked inside with the window closed. He graduated last spring. Saw him walking in the rain at 9 AM. Not sure where he was headed, but all I could think was he was headed in the wrong direction. He was put on this earth to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And he's all out of bubblegum. That's so sad. You know his circumstances are not set up to support him well. To see someone who you think, if I could just change something, but you can't. I know we all love a great underdog story where the kid with the world against him succeeds against all odds. but that doesn't happen as often in real life. People with these great success stories where they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps are the few percent that was able to. For one of those success stories, there's probably hundreds more where the person didn't succeed. I was that kid. Father worked shifts, and when he was home he was doing backyard car repairs to help make ends meet. Not because he didn't earn a good living, he actually did, but because my mother was a gambling addict. Instead of addressing the problem, he focused on solving the symptoms. I went to school from an unheated house with a mother still in bed and no breakfast in freezing weather with no coat because she spent the money on gambling. Went for years without medical treatments for the same reason. No toothpaste, no hair conditioner, no haircuts, old shoes, socks and underwear with holes. All because anything she could make us do without went to gambling. Pay was done in the frigid school gym in bare feet and a shirt because gym shoes and sweatshirts cost money that could be used to make bets instead. One day the vice principal called me to her office, not to reprimand me but to give me the optional pieces of uniform I didn't have, like a coat and a school blazer. They were the options without which you froze half to death as you walked or biked several miles to school. She didn't make a big deal out of it, she simply met a need. Her act of kindness lit a spark in me. To this day, almost 40 years later, I still put money, time and hard work into caring for others and charity work. I'm the mum who will volunteer at school, quietly contribute anything the teachers are short of. That person, not for recognition or thanks. In fact, I am embarrassed if you do that. It's because nearly 40 years ago someone cared. So sorry you went through what you did. Kudos for turning it into compassion and paying it forward to those in need. You rock. Well, you are sweet. Thank you so much for taking the time to write that. My intent was actually to encourage the teachers and other child